Hello, everyone, and welcome into MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball. Tonight, we're here from Washington, Pennsylvania for Game 3 of a three-game series between your Washington Wild Things and the Gateway Grizzlies here at Consol Energy Park. I'm Zach Ziegler taking you through the entire 2016 season. You're listening to the Washington Wild Things pregame show. The Wild Things played a doubleheader against the Gateway Grizzlies last night, ended up splitting the doubleheader, winning Game 1 by a score of 5-1 and losing Game 2 by a score of 2-1. We're going to have a recap of both of those games coming up for you. Also, a sit-down with Game 2 starter Chase Cunningham. Unfortunately, did not get the win in Game 2 yesterday against the Gateway Grizzlies, but did throw 6 shutout innings, giving us just 2 hits. So Cunningham will join us. And also, we're going to take a look at tonight's lineups and the pitching matchup. It's all coming up right here on the MSA Sports Network. And as we said, a doubleheader yesterday for your Wild Things in these Gateway Grizzlies. Going to start with Game 1. Things got kicked off right away. Cody Livesey singled to start things for Gateway. Then Seth Heckett to a 6-4-3 double play. And Craig Massoni struck out. That ended the first inning. The Wild Things in the first and second set up, 6 down by starter Vince Molesky. His first 6 men were retired. Trevor Foss, after that first inning, retired 6 straight himself in the second and third. It was a real pitcher's duel in this one until the bottom of inning number 3. Logan Uxa started things off with a single. Then Kyle Pollock struck out and Austin Wolbrock doubled, putting runners at second and third with just 1 man away. And Jamal Austin came through with a 2 RBI single, scoring both Uxa and Wolbrock and giving the Wild Things a 2-0 lead. Ricky Rodriguez would strike out to end the inning. Gateway would get on the board in the top of the 4th. Cody Livesey and Seth Heck back-to-back groundouts to start things before Craig Massoni doubled. Then Brandon Thomas came through with an RBI single that scored Massoni from second base and made the score 2-1. Tyler Toole would follow that up with a single of his own. Their runners at first and third with 2 outs, and then Blake Brown grounded out to end that 4th inning. Wild Things would respond in the bottom of the 4th as Brian Haar struck out to start things. Then Dave Popkins doubled. Nick Ferdinand singled to put runners at first and third with 1 away before Jimmy Yezzo hit what looked to be a routine double play ball to the first baseman Craig Massoni. However, Massoni overthrew the shortstop Logan Davis, who was covering second base. The ball went into left field, and Dave Popkins came in to score, and the Wild Things had a 3-1 lead. Logan Uxa would follow that one up with a walk, and then a sacrifice fly by Kyle Pollock drove in Nick Ferdinand and gave your Wild Things a 4-1 lead. Austin Wolbrock would ground out to end the inning. Wild Things back on the board in the 5th. Jamal Austin started things off with a single, his second hit of the night, for Ricky Rodriguez reached on an error, and Brian Haar hit a sac fly that brought in Jamal Austin and made the score 5-1 Washington Wild Things. Dave Popkins would have his second double of the day following that, and Nick Ferdinand would fly out to end that 5th inning. Then in the bottom of the 6th, Wild Things looking to add on runs, and they went 1-2-3 as Jimmy Yezzo, Logan Uxa, and Kyle Pollock all got out. In the top of the 7th, Trevor Foss came out looking for his 6th complete game of the 2016 season, and he was able to get it. Got Tyler Toole to ground out, then Blake Brown walked, and Ben Waldrop hit into a 6-3 double play that would end up ending the game and giving the Wild Things their 21st win of the 2016 season. They improved to 21-18 after that win in the first game. Trevor Foss picked up his Frontier League leading 6th win of the season in that contest. Got his ERA down to 2.04. The complete game loss went to Vince Molesky. Molesky 6 innings, he gave up 5 runs, 3 earned on 7 hits, a walk, and 3 strikeouts. So the Wild Things would take Game 1. Then they came in looking to sweep the doubleheader in Game 2. And Game 2 started out much like Game 1 did. Cody Livesey singled to lead things off. Then Seth Heck struck out and Craig Massoni grounded out. So there was a runner at second base with 2 men out. Brandon Thomas would strike out. However, a pass ball by Alex McKeon allowed Thomas to reach base, so there'd be runners at first and third with 2 men out before Blake Brown would hit into a 6-4 fielder's choice that would end that first inning without a run scoring. For the Wild Things, they got their one and only run in this game on the board in the bottom of the 2nd. Dave Popkins would start things out with a walk. Then Nick Ferdinand singled to put runners at first and third, nobody out. Then Logan Uxa popped out to the shortstop, keeping men right where they were. And Grant Fink looked like he hit a routine double play ball to Seth Heck. Heck flipped to second for one, and then Logan Davis overthrew first baseman Ben Waldrop. The ball went into the stands, and Dave Popkins came around the score to give the Wild Things a 1-0 lead. Grant Fink would get caught stealing second base to end that second inning. The Gateway Grizzlies were pretty much shut down by Chase Cunningham. He only gave up 2 hits on the night through the first 6 innings, one going to Cody Livesey and one going to Jason Scholl. At one point, he retired 12 straight Gateway Grizzlies from the top of the first all the way until the top of the 5th inning, as that's when Jason Scholl picked up his hit. So 12 straight retired by Cunningham. Then he got Logan Davis to line out to end that 5th inning. In the 6th, he got a line out to start the inning. Then Seth Heck was hit by a pitch. Craig Masoni flew out, and Brandon Thomas grounded out. And after 6, the score was 1-0 Washington Wild Things in a 7-inning game. And manager Greg Langben opted to pull Chase Cunningham and bring in his closer, Zach Groats. Groats has been very effective all year, had 7 saves and 7 tries, and 0.45 ERA. Coming in to last night looking for save number 8. The final line on Chase Cunningham, however, 6 innings, no runs, 2 hits, no walks, and 2 strikeouts for the right-hander, his best start of the 2016 season. Zach Groats came in, was tasked with facing 5, 6, and 7. Blake Brown would start things with a walk. Then Ben Waldrop singled and was replaced at first by pinch runner Sam Fisher. Then looked like Groats was going to get out of it as he struck out John Buntelmeyer and got Jason Scholl to ground out to put runners at second and third with 2 away. And then Logan Davis, an RBI doubled on the left field line, scored both Blake Brown and Sam Fisher and gave Gateway a 2-1 lead. It was Zach Groats' first blown save of the season. Cody Livesey would ground out to end that top of the 7th. Wild Things in the bottom of the 7th went 1-2-3. Ricky Rodriguez grounded out. Brian Hart popped out, and Dave Popkins struck out to end the game. The Wild Things loss fell to 21-19. The loss went to Zach Groats. It was his first loss of the season, and the win went to Dakota Smith. Smith, a complete game victory, won 7 innings, gave up 1 run, it wasn't earned, on 1 hit, 1 walk, and 8 strikeouts. So a very good start for Dakota Smith. Zach Groats got the loss, won an inning, gave up 2 runs, both earned on 2 hits, a walk, and 1 strikeout. Chase Cunningham, again, not benefiting. He got some misfortune. It's his 4th out of his last 5 starts where the Wild Things have scored him 1 run or less of run support on the season. So the Wild Things split the doubleheader. The rubber match of the 3-game series is tonight, 7:05 first pitch. We're going to take our first break here on the MSA Sports Network's Washington Wild Things pregame show. When we come back, we'll have our sit-down with Chase Cunningham. So keep it right here for more Washington Wild Things baseball on the MSA Sports Network.
AAA members enjoy 24/7 roadside assistance, exclusive member-only discounts, expert travel assistance, free identity theft protection, and much more. With that AAA card in your wallet or purse, you have the peace of mind, safety, and security that only AAA membership can provide. Already a member? Don't forget to renew. Not a member? Join AAA today at any nearby office or online at AAA.com. AAA, we're always with you.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network. You're listening to the Washington Wild Things pregame show. Currently joined by your Game 2 starter from last night, Chase Cunningham. And Chase, you went out there 6 scoreless innings, just giving up the 2 hits. What was your game plan going into the game against Gateway?
The big thing was just getting ahead with fastballs, letting them get themselves out. You don't need to do too much. Just if you pitch ahead, you're usually going to be pretty successful.
And you got a chance to see Trevor Foss pitching game 1 of the doubleheader. Anything you picked up from Foss's outing that you brought into yours?
I'd say with Foss's, he just showed like when you locate, you get bad swings, and bad swings ends up good results for your team. So just like I said, just attacking the zone, and it seemed like if you could mix up a few pitches with it, you're good to go for the game.
And working with this rotation, you have a bunch of very good guys, Trevor Foss, yourself, Luke Wilkins, all in there. What's it been like working with this pitching staff this year?
Oh, it's great. Everybody, I feel like we get better going against each other. It's just a great like inner competitiveness I like to see. It's better than having teams that didn't have that good at pitching, so I enjoy it. I like the competition.
And I was going to go to that. Is there any internal competition? You saw Foss go out there 7 innings, just the 1 run. Are you like, all right, I'm going to go out and one-up him?
I wouldn't say that. It's just like overall, you just know that everybody's working hard, so when that happens, you just want to make sure you're prepared because everybody else is, so that's just how it works. But no no like trying to one up him. I'm just trying to do myself and just hopefully everything works out well.
And yesterday you're pitching with a 1-0 lead. Is there any different mindset pitching with a 1-0 lead as opposed to maybe like a 4 or 5 run lead?
Maybe a little bit. You just gotta stay focused on everything and make sure. Oh yeah, no, there's nothing different.
And finally, Game 3 of this 3-game series with Gateway tonight. You guys took Game 1 yesterday, lost Game 2. What's the key to come out and win Game 3?
Get a few runs early and just let Frauden do his thing, and we should be good to go.
Thanks, Chase. Good luck today.
Thank you.
We'll be right back here on the MSA Sports Network.
How does a 120-year-old company like Henderson Brothers keep up in a world that changes every minute, that keeps throwing curveballs, that flaunts new technology, that demands responsiveness? The answer is simple. With expertise. We insure the most successful corporations in the area, and they in turn recommend us. And for that, we're grateful. Henderson Brothers. Expect an expert.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, getting you ready for Game 3 of this 3-game series between your Washington Wild Things and the Gateway Grizzlies. A doubleheader in last night's game as the Wild Things and Grizzlies would split the doubleheader. Wild Things won Game 1 by the score of 5-1. Trevor Foss picking up his league-leading 6th win of the season. And then in Game 2, the Wild Things would fall 2-1 to the Gateway Grizzlies. Chase Cunningham 6 shutout innings in that one. However, he could not get the win as the bullpen blew the game late for the Wild Things. So they're looking to take the series here in the rubber match, Game 3 of the 3-game series. And while we wait for first pitch to come along, we're going to take a look at the lineups for both these teams, starting with the visiting Gateway Grizzlies. They enter this one with a record of 20-21. They'll lead off with their left fielder, Cody Livesey. Batting second at second base, Seth Heck. Hitting third, the designated hitter, Craig Masoni. Batting fourth in center field, Brandon Thomas. Hitting fifth behind the plate, Tyler Toole. Batting sixth in right field, Blake Brown. Batting seventh at first base, Zach Levy. Hitting eighth at third base, John Bunselmeyer. And batting ninth at shortstop, Logan Davis. On the mound for the Grizzlies tonight, Corey Kimes comes in with a record of 3-2 and a .493 ERA. They are led by their manager, Phil Warren. For the Washington Wild Things, they come into this one with a record of 21-19. They'll lead off with their center fielder, Jamal Austin. Batting second at third base, Ricky Rodriguez. Hitting third at second base, Brian Harr. Batting fourth in right field, Dave Popkins. Hitting fifth, the designated hitter, Jimmy Yezzo. Batting sixth in left field, Nick Ferdinand. Hitting seventh at first base, Logan Uxa. Batting eighth and catching, Kyle Pollock. Batting ninth at shortstop, Austin Wobrock. On the mound for your Washington Wild Things, Matt Frauden enters this one with a record of 2-3 and a .365 ERA. Your Wild Things taking the field now, getting ready for Game 3 of this 3-game series. The 9-inning format tonight as we're back to just one game here at Consol Energy Park. And Matt Frauden taking the hill, looking for a good start tonight. Gave up 6 runs, 4 earned his last time out. So see if he can have a bounce-back start tonight. Momentarily going to send you down to the field for the national anthem as the Wild Things players have taken the field and are lining up on the sidelines for that national anthem. Want to remind you, you're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network. And now we're going to take you down to the field for the national anthem.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, will you please rise? Gentlemen and boys, please remove your caps. Performing tonight's national anthem, let's welcome Emma Flickinger. Emma?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed, and the twilight's last gleaming, whose cross stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight
Hi, this is Hines Ward. If you're a high school sports fan, the place to go all year round is the MSA Sports Network. Log on every day to www.msasports.net for the schedules, the scores, the standings, the rankings, and of course, all of the broadcasts includes exclusive Whitfield playoffs and championship action. Anytime, anywhere, always there, the MSA Sports Network.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, ready for baseball here in Game 3 of this 3-game series. The rubber match is the Wild Things won Game 1, Grizzlies won Game 2. In this one, the Wild Things line up like this in the outfield left to right. It's Nick Ferdinand, Jamal Austin, and Dave Popkins. Left side of the infield held down by Ricky Rodriguez and Austin Wobrock. Right side by Brian Haar and Logan Uxum. Behind the plate, Kyle Pollock. Catching tonight's starter, Matt Frodden. Frodden enters this one with a record of 2-3, a .365 ERA, appearing in his 9th game, making his 8th start of the season. Has thrown 44 1/3 innings of work, giving up 20 runs, 18 earned on 40 hits, 16 walks, and 37 strikeouts in those 44 1/3 innings pitched. The lineup he'll face tonight looks like this. Cody Livesey leads off and plays in left. Batting second at second base, Seth Heck. Hitting third, designated hitter Craig Massoni. Batting fourth in center field, Brandon Thomas. Batting fifth behind the plate, Tyler Toole. Batting sixth in right field, Blake Brown. Hitting seventh at first base, Zach Levy. Hitting eighth at third base, John Bunselmeyer. And batting ninth at shortstop, Logan Davis. Matt Frodden finishes with his warm-up tosses, and we're just about ready for baseball here on a sunny Thursday night. Thirsty Thursday here at the ballpark for Game 3 between your Wild Things and the Gateway Grizzlies. Cody Livesey getting ready, and he's walking up to the plate. Livesey enters this one hitting .297, no home runs, and 11 RBIs. The left fielder for the Gateway Grizzlies. We've seen him at that position in each of the first 2 games last night. Matt Frodden taking the hill. Livesey .297, no homers, and 11 RBIs. Frodden looking in, has his sign. He's set, and here is the pitch. And that one's on the outside corner for a strike. No balls and a strike. First pitch thrown tonight at 7:07 p.m. Eastern Time. And currently 66 degrees out here at Consol Energy Park. First pitch time and temperature brought to you by State Line Grocery and Hotspot. This next one's low in the dirt for a ball, and the count goes even at 1-1. For Matt Frodden, he has to locate his pitches today. We saw from Foss and Cunningham yesterday. When you do that, you're going to be in good shape against these Grizzlies. And Livesey takes the 1-1 pitch and lines it up the middle for a base hit. So as he did in the first 2 games yesterday, he leads things off with a single here in the top of the first. That'll bring up the second baseman, Seth Heck. Heck enters this one, .246, a home run, and 14 RBIs. Wild Things today in their alternate red uniforms with their white home pants. Gateway Grizzlies come in their gray road jerseys with their gray road pants. Nobody out top of the first. Just underway as Cody Livesey reaches first to lead things off here in the first. Frodden has his sign, the pitch, and Heck takes this one in the dirt. Count goes to 1 ball and no strikes. Frodden getting behind the second batter, but like I was saying, Foss and Cunningham really good on location last night against the Grizzlies. And it showed in their stat line. If Frodden can do the same, he'll have just as much success. Here's the 1-0, and Heck takes this one in the dirt as well. Count goes to 2 balls and no strikes. Seth Heck, no relation to Wild Things outfielder Andrew Heck. Just happens to have the same last name. Cody Livesey at first base. He singled to lead off the game against Matt Frodden. Frodden has his sign. He's set, checks first, and the 2-0. And this one's on the inside corner for a strike. Count goes to 2 balls and a strike. Matt Frodden's had some first inning struggles his last couple times. Gave up 3 runs in the first inning in his last start. Frodden has his sign. He's set, and the 2-1. And this ball lined over the head of Austin Wobrock and into left field, a base hit. Back-to-back singles here off of Matt Frodden put runners at first and second for the Gateway Grizzlies with nobody out, and that'll bring up the designated hitter, Craig Massoni. Massoni enters this one hitting .291, 6 home runs, and 20 RBIs. Kyle Pollock out to talk to Matt Frodden. As he said, last time Frodden was on the hill facing off against the Schaumburg Boomers, gave up 3 runs in the first inning of that contest and then settled down, didn't give up the 3 other runs until inning number 5. It was a 3-run home run that put Schaumburg way ahead. With Frodden trying to get out of this first inning scoreless, Right now, as runners at first and second and nobody out. Frauden looking in, has his sign, he's set. Checks Livesey at second. Here's the pitch. And that one's in the dirt for a ball. Count goes to 1-0. Frauden's fallen behind the last two batters. About a little less than halfway full here at Consol Energy Park on a sunny Thursday evening here at Consol Energy Park. Game number 41 of the season. Frauden has his sign, checks second. Here's the 1-0. And this ball grounded to third. Ricky Rodriguez to second for one, on to first. And that's just what Matt Frauden needed. A 5-4-3 double play. There are now 2 outs here in the first. Seth Heck eliminated at second base. And Cody Livesey moves up to third with 2 men out. And that'll bring up the center fielder, Brandon Thomas. Thomas enters this one hitting 286 home runs and 20 RBIs. Doctor couldn't have prescribed anything better. A tailor-made double play ball to Ricky Rodriguez. Through to second. Har the transfer to first in time for the double play. 2 outs, top of the first. No score between your Wild Things and the Grizzlies. Frauden checks third, has his sign, the pitch. And that one's just low for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and no strikes. Brandon Thomas drove in 1 run yesterday. Drove it in game number 1. An RBI single. Was the only run of the game for the Grizzlies in that one. Frauden has his sign, the 1-0. And that one's low as well. Count goes to 2 balls and no strikes. Nice pick by Kyle Pollock to keep Cody Livesey right where he is at third base. 2 outs, top of the first, no score. As Matt Frauden looking in. Frauden has his sign, he's set. And the 2-0. There's a swing and a miss, and the count goes to 2 balls and a strike. Frauden flipped in a changeup there. And Thomas was way out in front on that swing. 2 balls, 1 strike, 2 men out. Frauden has his sign, checks Livesey, and the 2-1. And this ball hit the center field. Jamal Austin doesn't have to move at all, and he'll make the catch, and that is out number 3. No runs in the inning on 2 hits and 0 errors and 1 man left on base. After half inning of play, the score, Gateway nothing, your Washington Wild Things coming to bat. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network. It's time to start thinking about the 2016 MSA Sports Kennywood All-Star Preseason Football Team. Make sure that your team's most outstanding players from last season are part of this year's ballot. Nominate them. All players who were active on the WPIAL District 7 and District 8 team rosters during the 2015-2016 seasons are eligible. In addition to nominating members of the offensive and defensive teams, we are also requesting nominations for our 2nd annual Perseverance and Courage Award. For more information, visit www.msasports.net. We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the bottom of the first, and the score, your Washington Wild Things nothing, Gateway Grizzlies nothing. The Grizzlies line up defensively like this. In the outfield left to right, it's Cody Livesey, Brandon Thomas, and Blake Brown. Left side of the infield held down by John Bunselmeyer and Logan Davis. Right side by Seth Heck and Zach Levy. And it'll be Tyler Toole behind the plate, catching tonight's starter, Corey Kimes. Kimes entered this one with a record of 3-2, a .493 ERA, making his 8th start of the season, appearing in his 8th game. Has thrown 38 1/3 innings of work, giving up 23 runs, 21 earned, on 35 hits, 18 walks, and 27 strikeouts on the season. The lineup he'll face looks like this. The Wild Things lead off with their center fielder, Jamal Austin. Batting second at third base, Ricky Rodriguez. Hitting third at second, Brian Haar. Hitting fourth in right field, Dave Popkins. Batting fifth, designated hitter, Jimmy Yezzo. Batting sixth in left field, Nick Ferdinand. Hitting seventh at first base, Logan Uxa. Hitting eighth behind the plate, Kyle Pollock. And batting ninth at shortstop, Austin Wobrock. On the mound for your Washington Wild Things, as you saw, Matt Frauden. Frauden, a 2-3 record and a .365 ERA. Jamal Austin making his way to the plate to start things here in the bottom of the first for your Wild Things. Austin is hitting .255, no home runs, and 8 RBIs on the season. Has a 9-game hitting streak coming into this one, increased that in Game 1 of the doubleheader last night when he went 2 for 3. No score, bottom of the first. Jamal Austin's been very good out of that leadoff spot for your Washington Wild Things, as he's been fighting off a lot of pitches and making that opposing starter work. Kimes looks in, has his sign. Here's the pitch. Austin Bunning pulls back and takes a strike, so the count goes to no balls and a strike. Umpires for tonight's game behind home plate, Robert Howard, and on the bases is Mike Martin, the same two umpires that the Wild Things and Grizzlies have had all season. Kimes set, here's the 0-1. And Jamal Austin, a ground ball to second. Seth Heck will handle it, throw on to first, and it's in time for out number 1. A rare short at bat for Jamal Austin to begin a game. There's one out here in the bottom of the first, and that'll bring up Ricky Rodriguez. Rodriguez enters this one hitting .270 with 4 home runs and 13 RBIs on that third base position. Rodriguez designated hitter in game 1 last night, then moved to third base for game 2 against the Gateway Grizzlies. Kimes looking in, has his sign. Here's the pitch. And Rodriguez takes one low for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and no strikes. 1-0 the count on Rodriguez. Both with Jamal Austin and Ricky Rodriguez doing a great job getting on base from the 1 and 2 holes. Jamal Austin getting out quickly in that first at-bat. This next pitch is outside for a ball. 2 balls and no strikes. 2-0 the count on Rodriguez. Kimes looking in, has his sign. Here's the 2-0. And Rodriguez checks his swing. And they say he did not go around, so the count goes to 3 balls and no strikes on Ricky. 3-0 the count. Rodriguez, one of the couple Wild Things on the All-Star ballot. Here's the 3-0, and that one's a called strike. 3 balls and a strike. The All-Star break coming up July 11th through the 14th, with the All-Star game being played on July 12th in Florence, Kentucky. Kimes has his sign, the 3-1, and that one's low, ball 4. Ricky Rodriguez will walk with 1 out to give the Wild Things a base runner, and that'll bring up the second baseman, Brian Haar. Haar, another one of those Wild Things on that All-Star ballot, on the All-Star ballot for your Wild Things this year. Ricky Rodriguez, Brian Haar, Dave Popkins, Trevor Foss, and Zach Groats, as the players will be voted on by the broadcasters, the general managers, and the coaches from around the league. Brian Haar enters this one, hitting .228, 9 homers, and 28 RBIs. The pitch, swing and a miss by Haar, and the count goes to no balls and a strike. 1 out. Wild Things have a runner at first here in the bottom of the first, as Ricky Rodriguez walked after the Jamal Austin ground out. Kimes looking in, has his sign, checks Rodriguez. Here's the 0-1. Haar, a fly ball down the right field line. This one's hooking. It'll go back foul behind the Wild Things bullpen. Count goes to no balls and 2 strikes. Brian Haar added power to his game this year. Only had 1 home run last season with the Minnesota Twins organization. Currently has 9 for your Washington Wild Things this year. Kimes has his sign, checks Rodriguez, and the 0-2. And Haar, ground ball right to second. Seth Heck to second for 1 onto first, and it's in time for a 4-6-3 double play, and the inning is over. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left. And after 1, the score, your Washington Wild Things nothing, Gateway Grizzlies nothing. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
PA Leadership Charter School is a proud sponsor of the Washington Wild Things. PALCS is a tuition-free online public school for K-12 students. PALCS can help your child hit a home run in their education through flexibility, student-to-teacher interaction, and socialization opportunities. Go to PALCS.org for more information. Go Wild Things!
PA Leadership Charter School, lead, don't follow.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball. Going to the top of the second, and there's currently no score between your Washington Wild Things and the Gateway Grizzlies. Last inning for the Gateway Grizzlies, Cody Livesey and Seth Heck hit back-to-back singles to lead off the game. Then Craig Masoni hit into a 5-4-3 double play. There were 2 outs and a runner at third before Brandon Thomas would fly out to end the inning. Due up this inning against Matt Frauden, 5, 6, and 7, Tyler Toole, Blake Brown, and then Zach Levy facing off against Matt Frauden. Frauden gets through a scoreless first inning, so he has gotten rid of the plague of the first inning that he suffered his last start, as he gave up 3 runs in the first inning his last time out. Gets a scoreless inning here, and we'll see if he can continue that scoreless inning streak into the second inning, as Tyler Toole making his way to the plate. So we are ready for baseball here in the top of the second as Toole comes to the plate. He's hitting .345, 7 home runs, and 22 RBIs. Leads this Gateway Grizzlies team in terms of average this season. Stepping in, nobody out here in the top of the second. Facing off against Matt Frauden, no score. Frauden looking in. Shakes it the first time, now has one. He said, here's the pitch. And that one's in there for a strike. Frauden getting ahead of Tyler Toole, no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count, 2 hits allowed in that first inning by Matt Frauden. Frauden said, here's the 0-1. And this one swung on a miss, no balls and 2 strikes. The positive for Frauden out of last start, 6 strikeouts to increase his total on the season. Frauden now currently has, as this pitch is grounded to first base, Logan Uxa handles it, and he'll take it to the bag himself, and that's out number 1. 1 away here in the top of the second. As I was saying, Matt Frauden currently has 37 strikeouts in 44 and a third innings work, so getting those strikeout numbers up, and that'll bring up the right fielder, Blake Brown. Brown enters this one hitting .228, 8 home runs, and 28 RBIs. 1 out here in the top of the second, no score. Matt Frauden looking in, has his sign, here's the pitch. And Brown takes this one low for a ball, count goes to 1-0. 1 ball, no strikes on the Grizzlies right fielder. He played right field in the first 2 games of this series as well. Frauden set in the 1-0. And Brown checks his swing, but it'll take a strike as the count goes even at 1-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. Robert Howard, the home plate umpire, was behind home plate for game 1 of the series last night. Here's the 1-1. And this ball grounded to the left side foul past the third base coach, and the count goes to 1-2. For the Gateway Grizzlies on the bases, their manager Phil Warren handling the third base coaching duties, and then every inning they switch with a different pitcher coaching at first base. Frauden set, here's the 1-2. And Brown, a ground ball towards second. Brian Haar has it, throw on to first, and it's in time for out number 2. So 2 ground outs to start the inning against Matt Frauden, and that'll bring up the first baseman, Zach Levy. Levy enters this one. He has no average right now, no homers, no RBIs, playing in his second game with the Gateway Grizzlies. Only had 1 at-bat, and he has struck out in his time with the Grizzlies. So Levy steps in, the number 7 hitter in the order. 2 outs, top of the second, no score here from Consol Energy Park. Frauden looks in, has his sign, here's the pitch. And Levy takes this one low for a ball, 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count. The Grizzlies have used a different first baseman in each game against the Wild Things. As Frauden looking in, has his sign, here's the 1-0. And Levy, a fly ball to center field. Jamal Austin going back to the track, and he will make the running catch for out number 3. 1-2-3 go the Grizzlies here in the second, and after 1.5 the score. Your Washington Wild Things nothing, Gateway Grizzlies nothing. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
You just never know how your day is going to go. The same holds true at Penn Station East Coast Subs. For some unsuspecting spuds, they start their day as Idaho potatoes, only to be transformed into hand-hewn fries. Unlucky for them, good for you. However, both your days get better because the fries get a sidle up next to a perfectly grilled Philly cheesesteak. Then, on their way to their final resting place, they get bathed in citric nectar, our signature lemonade. Wherever your day takes you, we recommend Penn Station be one of the stops.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the bottom of inning number 2, and the score, your Washington Wild Things nothing, and the Gateway Grizzlies nothing. Last inning for the Wild Things, Jamal Austin grounded out to start things, then Ricky Rodriguez walked, and Brian Haar hit into a 4-6-3 double play that would end the first inning. Due up here in the second for your Wild Things, Dave Popkins, Jimmy Yezzo, and Nick Ferdinand facing off against Corey Kimes. Kimes, a pretty good first inning as he walked Ricky Rodriguez, but other than that, got a ground out and a double play that would end that inning. So a pretty efficient first inning for Corey Kimes. Sundays are Kids Club days at Consol Energy Park. Children 12 and under can join the club for free. They get lots of perks, including a t-shirt, giveaway items, and free tickets to all Kids Club days. For more information, log on to WashingtonWildThings.com or call the box office at 866-456-WILD. The Kids Club is sponsored by Kona Ice, MedExpress, PA Leadership Charter School, Pepsi, and Frito-Lay. Corey Kimes finishing up his warm-up tosses, and as he does, Dave Popkins makes his way to the plate to lead things off for your Wild Things here in the bottom of inning number 2. Popkins enters this one hitting .291, 4 home runs, and 15 RBIs. Currently good for second on the Wild Things team in terms of average. So he'll step in to lead things off. Bottom of the second, no score between your Wild Things and the Gateway Grizzlies. Game 3 of this 3-game series with the doubleheader being played yesterday. Kimes looks in. Here's the pitch. And Popkins takes this one outside for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and no strikes. The switch hitter Popkins batting from the right side against the lefty Corey Kimes. Kimes has his sign, the 1-0. Popkins takes this one, this time on the outside corner for a strike, and the count goes to 1-1. 1 ball, 1 strike on the Wild Things right fielder. Kimes set, here's the 1-1. And Popkins takes this one inside. Count goes to 2 balls and a strike. For Corey Kimes on the year, currently has 27 strikeouts to 18 walks in 38 1/3 innings pitched. Here's the 2-1, and Popkins up the middle, just past the glove of Corey Kimes into center field for a base hit. So the leadoff man reaches base here in the bottom of the second. That one was a frozen rope by Popkins. Kimes did all he could to try to make the catch, but it blew by his glove into center field, and Popkins reaches base. That'll bring out the designated hitter, Jimmy Yezzo. Yezzo hitting .209, 5 home runs, and 21 RBIs. Second on this team in both homers and RBIs as he steps in with a runner at first and nobody out. Kimes looking in, has his sign, checks first. Here's the pitch. And Yezzo, a ground ball to second. Heck has it to second for 1 onto first, and it's in time for a double play. The second 4-6-3 double play hit into by these Wild Things in the second inning. And there are now 2 outs here in the bottom of the second. That'll bring up the left fielder, Nick Ferdinand. Ferdinand on the year hitting .300, 1 home run, and 11 RBIs. Wild Things 2 double plays in 2 innings so far, as Ferdinand will now look to make some 2-out magic happen. Ferdinand leads his team with his .300 batting average as he steps in against Corey Kimes. 2 outs, bottom of the second, no score between your Wild Things and the Gateway Grizzlies. Kimes setting the pitch, and Ferdinand takes this one on the outside corner for a strike. No balls and a strike. 0-1 the count on Ferdinand out there in left field for the Wild Things today. Kimes set, here's the 0-1. And Ferdinand takes this one at the knees for a strike, and the count goes to 0-2. No balls, 2 strikes. Corey Kimes giving up the leadoff single and then getting his second 4-6-3 double play of the day. Kimes set in the 0-2 pitch. And a swing and a miss by Nick Ferdinand. He strikes out, and that will end the inning. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and nobody left. And after 2, the score. Your Washington Wild Things nothing, Gateway Grizzlies nothing. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
When looking to replace your athletic field, choose ProGrass, first in turf. ProGrass has installed over 500 fields in the U.S. Getting the best artificial turf for your field depends upon both the product and the partner you choose. That's why architects, athletic directors, and players choose the ProGrass Performance System. ProGrass maintains an active presence in the field turf industry as members of the Sports Turf Management Association and the American Sports Builder Association, and is proud to be recognized as a FIFA preferred manufacturer. Call ProGrass today at 866-270-6003 or visit them on the web at www.progressturf.com. ProGrass, first in turf.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the top of the third, and the score, your Washington Wild Things nothing and the Gateway Grizzlies nothing. Last inning, the Grizzlies would go 1-2-3. Tyler Toole would ground out, Blake Brown would ground out, and Zach Levy would fly out to end the second inning against Matt Frauden. Through 2 innings so far, Frauden just allowing those 2 hits to lead off the game. Other than that, has been very good as he got the 5-4-3 double play to help him get out of that first inning. Got the fly out by Thomas, and last inning, retiring all 3 Gateway Grizzlies that he faced. If you haven't heard yet, country artist Chris Young will be in concert at Consol Energy Park on August the 25th. Tickets for that are available at Ticketmaster.com. Making his way to the plate to lead things off here in inning number 3 will be the third baseman, John Bunselmeyer. Bunselmeyer enters this one hitting .273 with a homer and 2 RBIs, playing in his 10th game with the Gateway Grizzlies. Matt Frodden looking in. Bunselmeyer started at third in each of the first 2 games. And there again tonight. Here's the pitch from Frodden. And he gets one over at the knees for a strike. No balls and a strike. 0-1 the count on Bunselmeyer. Stepping in here against Frodden. Frodden set. Here's the 0-1. And this one's a called strike on the outside corner. No balls and 2 strikes. We saw it from Robert Howard in game 1 yesterday. He gives that outside part of the plate to the pitcher. So as a batter, you got to be looking out there and maybe take a swing that you normally wouldn't. Here's the 0-2. And swinging a slow roller to the left side. But this one will be foul, and the count remains no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 the count on John Bunselmeyer. 6 strikeouts last time out for Matt Frodden against the Schaumburg Boomers. In the loss, he fell to 2-3 after that contest. Wild Things tried to fight back for him, but would lose by the score of 6-4. Frodden set the 0-2. And this one grounded towards third, and again will roll foul. Last time out for Matt Frodden was on June the 25th against Schaumburg. Went 5 innings in that one, gave up 6 runs, 4 earned on 6 hits, 3 walks, and 6 strikeouts in the loss. Looking to rebound tonight. As so far through the first 2 innings, just allowing the 2 hits. So far, so good. Frodden set. Here's the 0-2. And this one's fouled away. Back behind the Wild Things bullpen. Count will remain no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2, nobody out. Here in the top of the third, no score. Matt Frodden on the hill, making his 8th start of the season. Frodden looking in, has his sign. Here's the 0-2 pitch. And Bunselmeyer to left field. Nick Ferdinand going back to the track, to the wall. And this one is off the top of the wall. No, it's called a home run. Initially, they said it was a double, but it's a solo home run for John Bunselmeyer. And the Gateway Grizzlies will take a 1-0 lead here in the top of the third. Couldn't tell from here if it hit above that yellow line, but the home plate umpire, Robert Howard, said it hit just above that yellow line. Manager Greg Langben coming out to argue this one, as he is not very happy, voicing his frustrations. Now they're going to have a conference between the umpires as Greg Langben's made his case. That one if it did hit over the yellow line, it hit just above that yellow line. Nick Ferdinand chasing it all the way back to the wall. I couldn't quite see exactly if it hit over that yellow line, but we'll see what they call. And Logan Davis stepping back in. And the home plate umpire is pointed to second base. However, Bunselmeyer has not come out of the dugout, and now Bunselmeyer comes out of the dugout, so it's not a home run. It's a double for John Bunselmeyer as he's on to lead off the inning standing at second base. I didn't think that ball hit over the yellow line, but the home plate umpire initially said it did. After a review, they confirmed that it did not hit over that yellow line, so Bunselmeyer at second now with nobody out, and 0-0 score, and that'll bring up Logan Davis. So some controversy here in the top of the third. No home run. Bunselmeyer stands on second with a double. Frodden has his sign, checks second. Here's the pitch. Davis bunting and gets this one in front of the mound. Frodden has it, throwing to first, is in time for out number 1. So the bunt does not work. Frodden gets to the ball. A 1-3 put out, but a sacrifice bunt moves John Bunselmeyer over to third base now with 1 away. That'll bring up the left fielder, Cody Livesey. Livesey 1 for 1 in this point. He singled in the first inning of this one. In yesterday's 2 ball games, he ended up going 2 for 7, 1 for 3 in game 1, and 1 for 4 in game 2. 1 out here in the top of the third, no score. As John Bunselmeyer stands on third, here's the pitch. That one's inside, blocked by Kyle Pollock behind the plate, and the count goes to 1-0. 1 ball, no strikes on the left fielder, so some controversy to start the inning. As John Bunselmeyer first hit a home run, then it was reversed to a double. And now Bunselmeyer stands at third. Wild Things infield in. Frodden has his sign, checks third, here's the 1-0. And this one low as well. Count goes to 2 balls and no strikes. 2-0 the count on Cody Livesey. Frodden trying to strand that runner at third with 1 out. Currently no score. Wild Things infield in, trying to prevent that run. Frodden set. Here's the 2-0. And this one's outside as well. Ball 3. 3 straight balls to Cody Livesey. And it's 3-0. 1 out, top of the third. Clouds starting to creep over Consol Energy Park right now. So we got some cloudy skies as the sun has gone away. Frodden's 3-0, and that one's a called strike at the knees. Count goes to 3 balls and a strike. 3-1 on Livesey. It's the first 3-ball count that Matt Frodden's been in all day, so he's shown pretty good control up to this point. Frodden set, here's the 3-1, and that one swung on a miss, and the count goes full 3-2. Cody Livesey couldn't lay off the slider coming inside as he was totally fooled on that one. 3 balls, 2 strikes, and 1 out. Frodden has his sign. Checks Bunselmeyer at third, the 3-2. And it's in the dirt, ball 4. So Frodden walks Cody Livesey. There's runners at first and third now with 1 away, but that does set up the double play. And that'll bring up the second baseman, Seth Heck. Heck singled in his first at-bat, and in yesterday's doubleheader would end up going 0 for 5, 0 for 3 in Game 1, and 0 for 2 with a hit by pitch in Game 2. 1 out here in the top of the third. Runners at first and third as Seth Heck stepping to the plate. Wild Things infield moves back to their normal positions. Frodden has his sign. Here's the pitch. And Heck takes this one to the dirt. Nice block by Kyle Pollock behind the plate, and the count goes to 1 ball and no strikes. The ball momentarily got away from Pollock, but he was able to pounce on it quickly to keep Bunselmeyer over there at third base. Bunselmeyer at third after he doubled the lead off the inning. Then Cody Livesey at first. He walked with 1 out. Frodden has his sign, the 1-0. And this one's low as well. Count goes to 2 balls and no strikes. As Kyle Pollock will go out to talk to Matt Frodden. Frodden working the lower part of the plate. Would love a double play ball here to help strand John Bunselmeyer at third base, but would take a strikeout if he can get it. The Wild Things in terms of defensively, Ricky Rodriguez playing about a normal third base position. Logan Uxa holding on Cody Livesey at first, and the infielders are at middle infielders are at double play depth. The meeting mound's over. Seth Heck back in. 2-0, 1 man out, top of the third, no score. Frodden has his sign. He's set, and the 2-0. And this one's in there on the inside corner for a strike. Count goes to 2-1. 2 balls and a strike, and if you're Matt Frodden, you can't lay one in there. 2-1, but you have to be careful with your pitching, but you don't want to throw one out of the zone. Frodden has his sign. Here's the 2-1. And Heck, a fly ball down the right field line. This will go foul back behind the seats, and the count goes even to 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2 for the count. Now if you're Frodden, you're looking for that strikeout pitch. Don't worry about the double play ball. Try to give him something he'll swing and miss at. Frodden looking in. Has his sign. He's set. The 2-2. And that one's just off the inside part of the plate for ball 3. Count goes full 3-2. Seth Heck, some confusion. He thought it was ball 4. Was ready to throw his bat. And then remembered there's only 3 balls. Full count, 1 out. Craig Massoni on deck for the Grizzlies. Frodden has his sign, the 3-2. And this ball lined into left field, and it will get down. Bunselmeyer will score. Livesey's going to make the third. Here's Ferdinand's throw to second, and it is in time to get Seth Heck for the second out of the inning. An RBI single for Seth Heck. He's thrown out trying to get to second base. Cody Livesey moves up to third on the play. And after all that, the Gateway Grizzlies take a 1-0 lead on the RBI single. So Bunselmeyer getting the home run taken away from him. Doesn't really matter. Gateway jumps out in front here in the second. That'll bring up the designated hitter, Craig Massoni. Massoni 0 for 1, hit into a double play as last time. And in yesterday's doubleheader would end up going 1 for 6 with a double and a run scored. Here's the pitch. And Massoni takes low for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. 1 run in the inning for the Gateway Grizzlies on the RBI single by Seth Heck. Heck was thrown out trying to get to second, so there's a runner at third with 2 outs. Frodden has his sign, checks Livesey. Here's the 1-0. And this ball popped up back behind the stands, and the count goes even at 1-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. Livesey at third base. He would walk following the sacrifice bunt by Logan Davis with 1 out. 1-1, 2 men out. 1-0 Gateway leads over your Wild Things here in the top of the third. Matt Frodden looking in, has his sign, checks Livesey. Here's the 1-1. Swing and a miss, and the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. Frodden got him to chase a ball that was below the knees. It was a very ugly swing there by Craig Massoni. Masoni was your first baseman in Game 1 for the Gateway Grizzlies yesterday. The Grizzlies have used a different first baseman each night. Zach Levy out there tonight and Ben Waldrop at first base the night before. Frodden's 1-2, and this one hit to center field. Jamal Austin running back on the track, and he makes the running catch before the wall for out number 3. But the Gateway Grizzlies do get a run in the inning on 2 hits, no errors, and a man left on. After 2.5, the score, Gateway 1, your Washington Wild Things nothing. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
Come out to Consol Energy Park throughout the entire 2016 season to support Andrew Heck, Jamal Austin, Dave Popkins, and the rest of your 2016 Washington Wild Things. The 6-game homestand continues this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, July 1st through the 3rd, when the Wild Things play a 3-game series with the Florence Freedom. It all starts on July 1st, a 7:05 first pitch for Game 1 of the series, and a fantastic fireworks display following the game. So watch a good game and stick around for some fireworks afterwards. Then the series continues Saturday at 7:05 when the first 1,000 fans get a pair of sunglasses presented by Mylan. The series will conclude Sunday, July 3rd at 5:05 p.m. when it's a Kids Sunday. All kids get to run the bases after the game. Come out to Consol Energy Park all season. For tickets, go to www.washingtonwildthings.com or call the box office at 866-456-WILD. Washington Wild Things Baseball, let's get wild.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the bottom of the 3rd, and the Gateway Grizzlies hold a 1-0 lead over your Washington Wild Things. Last inning for the Wild Things, Dave Popkins singled to start things off. Then Jimmy Yezzo hit into a 4-6-3 double play, the second double play in as many innings for the Wild Things, and Nick Ferdinand would strike out to end the inning. Due up here in the 3rd for the Wild Things, Logan Uxa, Kyle Pollock, and Austin Wobrock, 7, 8, and 9, facing off against Corey Kimes. And Kimes through the first 2 innings, just allowing that 1 hit, and has walked the batter, but has gotten the 2 big double plays that have helped him out. Logan Uxa making his way to the plate, and Uxa on the season hitting .235, a home run, and 3 RBIs. That 1 home run hit here at Consol Energy Park, as he'll try to get on base to lead things off, with Gateway leading 1-0. Corey Kimes came into this one with a .495 ERA, trying to lower that one tonight. So far, so good for him. Kimes set. Here's the pitch to Uxa, and he takes this one on the outside corner for a strike. No balls and a strike. 0-1 the count for the Wild Things. In the first 2 games of this series, they've been really slow to start offensively. They'll try to get going here in the 3rd. The 0-1, and Uxa, a ground ball to the right side, handled by Levy. He'll take it to the bag himself, and that is out number 1 here in the bottom of the 3rd. 1 out. That'll bring up the catcher, Kyle Pollock. Pollock hitting, 182, no home runs, and 3 RBIs. The starting catcher for your Washington Wild Things. Caught Game 1 of the doubleheader yesterday against the Gateway Grizzlies. Kimes set. Here's the pitch, and Pollock takes this one on the outside corner for a strike. 0-1. No balls and a strike on the Wild Things catcher. 1 out here in the bottom of the 3rd. Kimes looking in, has his sign, the 0-1. And Pollock, a fly ball down the right field line. This one's hooking, and it'll go back into the seats. Foul. Count goes to no balls and 2 strikes. Wild Things actually a better team on the road this season than at home. Their home record currently stands at 9-10, while their road record stands at 12-9. Kimes set. Here's the 0-2 pitch, and that one's inside for a ball. Count goes to 1-2 on Pollock. Good job by Pollock to lay off that breaking ball. Broke down and in, started on the inside part of the plate, and then just took a nosedive for Pollock's feet. Kimes set. Here's the 1-2. And Pollock takes another breaking ball, the same thing, and the count goes even to 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Wild Things have had 2 base runners today, a walk to Ricky Rodriguez and a single to Dave Popkins. Kimes set. Here's the 2-2. And a swing and a miss by Pollock and a ball in the dirt, and he strikes out. That's the 2nd out of the inning, the 2nd strikeout for Corey Kimes. That'll bring up the shortstop, Austin Wobrock. Wobrock enters this one hitting .208 with a homer and 7 RBIs. Kimes' last time out was against the Normal Corn Belters on the 22nd of June. Went 5 1/3 innings there, gave up 3 runs, all earned in 3 walks and 3 strikeouts. Kimes said, here's the pitch to Wobrock. And Wobrock takes this one in the outside corner for a strike. No balls and a strike. 2 outs here, bottom of the third, and the score, Gateway 1, and your Washington Wild Things nothing. Kimes looking in, has his sign. Here's the 0-1. And Wobrock, a slow roller to the right side, but this one will go foul, and the count goes to no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 the count on Austin Wobrock. Wild Things just getting 1 hit in Game 2 of the 3-game series. Game 2 of the doubleheader last night against Gateway. Nick Ferdinand's single was their only hit in that one. Kimes looking in, has his sign, the 0-2. And that one's way outside for a ball. Wobrock able to hold his swing, and the count goes to 1-2. As the catcher Tyler Toole having to dive for the outside part of the right-handed batter's box. Austin Wobrock, the lefty, at the plate. Kimes looking in, has his sign. Here's the 1-2 pitch. And Wobrock checks his swing. Did he go around? No, says Mike Martin on the bases, so the count goes even to 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 strikeouts on the day for Corey Kimes. He's got Nick Ferdinand and Kyle Pollock both swinging. Kimes has his sign. Here's the 2-2. And Wobrock fouls this one off to the screen. So the count will remain 2-2. Getting a good piece of that one by Wobrock, but just a little late as he stays alive here against Corey Kimes. 2 outs, bottom of the third from Consol Energy Park. Game 3 of this 3-game series. Kimes set. Here's the 2-2. And this one softly hit into the mound. Kimes has it. He'll throw on to first, and it's in time for out number 3. 1-2-3 go your Wild Things here in the third. And after 3 innings of play, the score, Gateway 1 and your Washington Wild Things nothing. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
AAA members enjoy 24/7 roadside assistance, exclusive member-only discounts, expert travel assistance, free identity theft protection, and much more. With that AAA card in your wallet or purse, you have the peace of mind, safety, and security that only AAA membership can provide. Already a member? Don't forget to renew. Not a member? Join AAA today at any nearby office or online at AAA.com. AAA, we're always with you.
We're back here in the MSA Sports Network coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the top of the fourth, and the score, Gateway 1 and your Washington Wild Things nothing. Matt Frodden just allowing that 1 run so far, allowed it last inning, as John Bunselmeyer started off the inning with what looked to be a home run initially. It was called a home run, and then after a review, Bunselmeyer was put on second base with a double, so he doubled to lead things off. Then a sac bunt by Logan Davis moved him over to third base. Then Cody Livesey walked, so runners were at first and third with 1 out. And Seth Heck came through with an RBI single scoring Bunselmeyer to give Gateway this 1-0 lead. Then Craig Massoni would fly out to end the inning. Heck was thrown out trying to stretch his single into a double. Due up here in the fourth, Brandon Thomas, Tyler Toole, and Blake Brown. And like to remind you, the fourth inning brought to you by Chick-fil-A. Visit the Chick-fil-A in Washington today. As making his way to the plate is Brandon Thomas, the number 4 hitter in the Grizzlies order. Thomas today 0 for 1, and in the doubleheader yesterday combined to go 1 for 6 with an RBI single, struck out 3 times, popped out, and grounded out against the Wild Things yesterday. Stepping in here, top of the fourth, nobody out. Gateway leads 1-0. Frodden looking in, has his sign. Here's the pitch. And this ball grounded towards first, but it'll go foul as Uxa makes the play in foul territory, but the count's 0-1. No balls and a strike on Brandon Thomas, the number 4 hitter in this Gateway Grizzlies order. Frodden looking in, has his sign. Here's the 0-1. And Thomas to right field and deep. Popkins going over, and he's not going to make the running catch. And this one will bounce over the wall for a ground rule double. So the second straight inning that the Gateway Grizzlies have led off with a very hard hit ball. And they've been at second both times to lead off the inning. That'll bring up the catcher, Tyler Toole. Toole 0 for 1 so far in this one. Caught game 1 of the doubleheader yesterday and ended up going 1 for 3 in that one. Singled, flew out, and also was robbed of a base hit on a diving play by Logan Uxa. Frodden has his sign. He's set, checks Thomas at second. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss by Toole, and the count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count on the Grizzlies catcher. Leads the Gateway Grizzlies in terms of average this season. Coming into this one, hitting .345. Matt Frodden has his sign. Checks on Thomas at second. Here's the 0-1. And that one's low for a ball. Count goes even at 1-1. In between innings, we saw manager Greg Langben have some words with the home plate umpire. Don't know exactly what they were discussing, but Langben still in this game. Did not look very happy during that little talk. Frodden set the 1-1, and that one swung on and foul tipped, and the count goes to 1-2. 1 ball, 2 strikes on the Grizzlies catcher. Gateway leads 1-0. Nobody out here in the top of the 4th. They have a runner at second as Brandon Thomas hit the leadoff double. Frodden looking in, has his sign, checks Thomas. Here's the 1-2. And that one's outside. Count goes even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2 the count on Tyler Toole. Frodden looking to get the first out here in the 4th inning. Only went 5 innings of work last time. You'd like to see Frodden go a little deeper than that tonight. Frodden set, checks second, the 2-2. And this ball hit the right center field. Popkins running over, is going to be able to make this catch this time. Thomas tagging, heading to third. Here comes Popkins' throw. And it's just late as Brandon Thomas gets in there. A very strong throw from Dave Popkins out in right field. Nearly got Brandon Thomas moving up to second. But Thomas able to sneak in there. And with 1 out, there's a runner at third. And that'll bring up the right fielder, Blake Brown. Brown 0 for 1 in this one. Grounded out to second. And in yesterday's doubleheader, Brown combined to go 0 for 5. Went 0 for 4 with 1 for 5, with a walk, a single, and a couple of flyouts. 1 out here in the top of the 4th. Gateway leads 1-0 the pitch, and this one's fouled back to the screen. No balls and a strike. 0-1 the count on the right fielder for the Gateway Grizzlies, Blake Brown. Brandon Thomas stands at third. He started the inning off with a double. Wild Things infield drawn in here with the runner at third and 1 out. Frodden looking to strand him there. He has his sign. He's set. Here's the 0-1. And this ball grounded past a diving Austin Walbrock into left field. It's a base hit. Thomas will score, and the Gateway Grizzlies take a 2-0 lead over your Wild Things. RBI single for Blake Brown, and it's now 2-0 Gateway. That'll bring up the first baseman, Zach Levy. Levy 0 for 1 in this one. Did not play at all in yesterday's game, as Ben Waldrop got the first base duties in Game 2. 1 out here in the top of the 4th. A run in on the RBI single by Blake Brown. For Brown, it's RBI number 29 on the year. Leads the team. Here's the pitch. And that one's outside for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. Gateway Grizzlies lead your Washington Wild Things 2-0 here in the top of the 4th. Both Austin Wolbrock and Ricky Rodriguez doing all they can, both diving for that ball, but it was placed perfectly in between them with the infield drawn in. Frodden has his sign, checks Brown at first. Here's the 1-0. And this one grounded softly to the left side, and will be handled by the third base coach for the Gateway Grizzlies, Phil Warren, and the count goes to 1-1. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 man out. A run in on the Blake Brown RBI single. He stands at first. Frodden just giving up those 2 runs on 6 hits so far. He has his sign. He's set. Checks first. Here's the 1-1. And this ball hit the center field. Jamal Austin a couple steps to his left, and he'll make the catch. And that is out number 2. 2 away here on the top of the 4th, and that'll bring up the third baseman, John Bunselmeyer. Bunselmeyer 1 for 1. Doubled his first time. Looked like he had a home run, but just shy of the home run in left center field. Bunselmeyer yesterday combined to go 0 for 5 with 2 flyouts, 2 groundouts, and a strikeout. 2 outs here in the top of the 4th. Gateway leads 2-0 over your Washington Wild Things. Frodden has his sign, the pitch, and Bunselmeyer takes in the dirt for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count. We've seen Frodden try to whip in that first pitch curveball, and it hasn't worked as of yet today. Frodden looking in, has his sign. He's set, checks first, and the 1-0. And this one swung on and fouled away. Count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count on John Bunselmeyer facing Matt Frodden. Frodden gave up 6 runs in his last start. So far 2 runs through 3 2/3 innings pitched. Frodden looks in, has his sign. He's set. Checks first, and the 1-1. And this ball fouled away to the screen. Count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2, 2 men out here in the top of the 4th. Grizzlies lead 2-0 over your Wild Things. As Blake Brown standing on first base for the Grizzlies. He had an RBI single. Frodden looking in. Has his sign. He's set. checks first in the 1-2. And this ball's in the dirt as Bunselmeyer takes it, and the count goes even at 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs, top of the 4th. Frodden trying to get out of this inning. Allowed a leadoff double before a flyout moved Thomas up to third, and then Blake Brown drove him in with a single. Frodden has his sign. Here's the 2-2. Checks his swing. Did he go around? No, says the field umpire, and the count goes full to 3-2. 3 balls and 2 strikes, and Matt Frodden's 3rd full count of the day. In the first 2 full counts, he walked the first man, Cody Livesey, and then gave up a single to Seth Heck. See what he does with this 3-2 count. Frodden has his sign. Checks first. And the 3-2 pitch. And this ball hit the center field and deep. Jamal Austin going back to the track, and he will make the catch. And it's out number 3. But another run comes in for the Gateway Grizzlies on 2 hits, no errors, and a man left. And after 3.5 the score, Gateway Grizzlies 2, and your Washington Wild Things nothing. You're listening to Washington Wild Things Baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
How does a 120-year-old company like Henderson Brothers keep up in a world that changes every minute, that keeps throwing curveballs, that flaunts new technology, that demands responsiveness? The answer is simple. With expertise. We insure the most successful corporations in the area, and they in turn recommend us. And for that, we're grateful. Henderson Brothers. Expect an expert.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball. Currently going to the bottom of the 4th, and the score, Gateway 2, and your Washington Wild Things nothing. Corey Kynes has faced the minimum through the first 3 innings for Gateway as he retired the Wild Things 1-2-3 last inning, getting Logan Uxett a ground out, Kyle Pollock struck out, and Austin Wobrock grounded out to end the 3rd inning. Due up here in the 4th, 1, 2, and 3 men as Jamal Austin, Ricky Rodriguez, and Brian Haar coming to the plate in the bottom of the 4th. Corey Kynes helped out with 2 double plays, one in the first inning, one in the second inning, that eliminated any threats the Wild Things had, and they were put down 1-2-3 in the 3rd. So Wild Things looking to get on the board here offensively, just 1 hit on the day. And we want to remind you that Clearview Federal Credit Union has branches in Canonsburg, McMurray, and all over southwestern Pennsylvania. Visit clearviewfcu.org today to find one near you. Jamal Austin stepping towards the plate as Corey Kynes finishes up his warm-up tosses. Austin today 0 for 1, grounded out in the first inning. Played in game 1 of the doubleheader yesterday, coming back from a leg injury, and went 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs, hit 2 singles, and struck out in that game. So Austin stepping in, bottom of the 4th. Gateway leads 2-0 over your Washington Wild Things. Wild Things just 1 hit to this point. Kynes looking in, has his sign. Here's the pitch. And Austin takes this one inside for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count on the Wild Things center fielder, looking to get on base to lead off the 4th inning. Second time through this Wild Things lineup. Kynes is 1-0, and that one's in there for a strike on the low inside corner. Count even at 1-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. See if a second time's a charm. Just 1 hit for your Wild Things so far. Kynes 1-1. And Austin takes this one for a strike on the outside corner. The count goes to 1-2. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Nobody out in the bottom of the 4th. The lefty Corey Kynes versus the right-handed hitter Jamal Austin. Kynes is 1-2. And this one grounded to short. Logan Davis, the ball hops him. He tried for a backhanded pick at short, can't get to it. Wide turn for Jamal Austin, but he'll stay at first, and he is on to lead off the inning. A tough play there for Logan Davis at short, and they'll give Jamal Austin the base hit. That extends Austin's hitting streak now to 10 games on the season. That'll bring up the 3rd baseman, Ricky Rodriguez. No official at-bat yet for Rodriguez as he walked his first time. Played in both games of the doubleheader yesterday and combined 0 for 6. Reached base once on an error. Nobody out. Austin standing at first. Here's the pitch. Rodriguez takes high for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count on Ricky Rodriguez. The second hit of the day for the Washington Wild Things is Jamal Austin standing at first base. Leads the team in stolen bases with 13. Kynes has his sign, the 1-0, and that one's low as well, so Kynes falls behind Ricky Rodriguez. 2 balls and no strikes. 2-0, nobody out. Rodriguez a hard man to double up, especially with Jamal Austin running the bases at first. Kimes has his sign, checks first, the 2-0. And Rodriguez lying down the left field line, but just foul. And lucky for Corey Kimes that one was foul because Austin was coming home on that one. 2 balls and a strike on Rodriguez as it turns out to be a long strike. Jamal Austin at first base is coming back from a leg injury, so we'll see how willing he is to steal a base. Does have 13 stolen bases on the year, leading this Wild Things team. Kimes has his sign, checks first, and the 2-1. Rodriguez takes this one high. Count goes to 3 balls and a strike. 3-1 on the Wild Things third baseman. He's been playing third base on a regular basis for the Wild Things ever since, we said, the cut of John Zesnewski and Brian Harrs moved over to second. Kimes has his sign, checks first, the 3-1, and Rodriguez pops this one up on the infield. Logan Davis out at shortstop, camped under it, and he will make the catch, and that's out number 1 here in the bottom of the 4th. 1 away, Jamal Austin still at first base, and that'll bring up the second baseman, Brian Harr. Harr 0 for 1 so far, hitting to a 4-6-3 double play his first time, and in yesterday's doubleheader combined to go 0 for 5, hit a sac fly, struck out twice, and flew out, popped out, and grounded out in the 2 games against the Gateway Grizzlies. 1 out, bottom of the 4th. Grizzlies lead 2-0 over your Wild Things. Kimes has his sign, throw over to first, and Jamal Austin's back. Jamal Austin, as we said, leads the team in stolen bases. He's over there at first after extending his hitting streak to 10 games now with a single. Corey Kimes has his sign, checks first, and another throw over there. And Austin back again. Keeping close attention to Jamal Austin over there. As we said, Austin coming back from the leg injury. So we'll see if that hampers any decisions to take off. Kimes has his sign. Checks first. Long look in the first pitch to Harr. And Harr hits this one foul back into the seats. Count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1, 1 out here in the bottom of the 4th. Gateway leads 2-0 over your Wild Things. Just 2 hits for your Wild Things through the first 3 1/3 innings pitched against Corey Kimes. It's Brian Harr looking to get the Wild Things on the board. Leads the team in homers and RBIs with 9 and 28. Here's the pitch, and a big swing and a miss by Harr, and the count goes to no balls and 2 strikes. Harr looking for the fences on that one. His 9 home runs and 28 RBIs. 9 home runs, the most he's hit in a season. As he was playing for the Minnesota Twins organization, only hit 1. Kimes 0-2 pitch, and that one's high for a ball. Harr lays off, and the count goes to 1-2. Kimes trying to change the eye level of Brian Harr. Was working low in the zone the first 2 pitches of the at-bat, and then came back with a pitch up at the letters, but Harr wisely lays off. Kimes has his sign, checks first, and the 1-2. Harr, a line drive right at the second baseman, Heck, and they have Austin doubled off. And that will end the inning. Double play, a line out to the second baseman, and he threw to first to complete the double play. No runs in the inning on 1 hit, no errors, and nobody left. After 4, the score, Gateway 2, and your Washington Wild Things nothing. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
It's time to start thinking about the 2016 MSA Sports Kennywood All-Star Preseason Football Team. Make sure that your team's most outstanding players from last season are part of this year's ballot. Nominate them. All players who were active on the WPIAL District 7 and District 8 team rosters during the 2015-2016 seasons are eligible. In addition to nominating members of the offensive and defensive teams, we are also requesting nominations for our 2nd annual Perseverance and Courage Award. For more information, visit www.msasports.net.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the top of the 5th, and the score, Gateway 2, and your Washington Wild Things nothing. Gateway added another run on last inning as Brandon Thomas doubled to start things off. Then Tyler Toole flew out, and Blake Brown drove Brandon Thomas in after he moved up to third with an RBI single. Zach Levy and John Buntelmeyer would each fly out to center to end the 4th inning. Due up here in the 5th against Matt Fronin, Logan Davis, Cody Livesey, and Seth Heck, 9, 1, and 2 facing off against Frauden. Frauden, a good start to the game as he retired the Gateway Grizzlies 1-2-3 in the third, just gave up 2 hits in the first before getting a double play, but then got roughed up in the third and fourth innings, allowing a leadoff double in each, and both of those runners would come around to score and ended up hurting Matt Frauden. Leading off the top of the fifth here for Gateway will be their number 9 hitter, Logan Davis. Davis, no official at-bat, yet a sacrifice bunt his last time up, and Davis played the shortstop in both games of the doubleheader yesterday and combined to go 2 for 5 with 2 doubles and 2 RBIs. Hit the game-winning hit for the Gateway Grizzlies in the second game of last night's doubleheader, a 2 RBI single in the 7th. Here's the pitch from Frauden, and that one's on the outside corner for a strike. No balls and 1 strike. Only played 7 innings in last night's 2 doubleheaders, or 2 games. Tonight, back to the 9-inning format. Frauden set the 0-1. And this one fouled back to the screen. Frauden ahead of Davis here. No balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 the count on the shortstop for the Gateway Grizzlies. Top of the 5th. And the Grizzlies lead your Washington Wild Things 2-0. Frauden looking in, has his sign. He's set. Here's the 0-2 pitch. And this ball, Davis just gets a piece of that one. Swung it one way out of the zone. And the count remains 0-2. Davis chopping to the outside part of the plate. Just got the tip of the bat on that ball and was able to keep it in play. Frauden set. Here's the 0-2. And that one just outside for a ball. But basically the same pitch he threw Davis on the 0-2 count before. And this time Davis laying off, and the count's 1 ball and 2 strikes. Frauden set. And the 1-2 pitch on the way now. And Davis a ground ball to second. Brian Haar coming in, throw to first, and it's in time for out number 1. 4-3 on the putout, and there's 1 away here in the top of the 5th. That'll bring up the left fielder, Cody Livesey. Livesey 1 for 1, singled in the first and walked in the third, was stranded at third base in both at-bats so far this evening. 1 out here in the top of the 5th. Gateway leads 2-0. It's Matt Frauden in his 5th inning of work. Only went 5 innings his last start, giving up the 6 runs. Frauden looking in, has his sign, the pitch. And Livesey takes this one on the outside part of the plate for a ball. 1 ball and no strikes. 1-0 the count, 1 out, top of the 5th. Frauden has his sign, he's set. Here's the 1-0. And this one grounded right back to the mound. Frauden, a nice glove play, throw on to first, and it's in time for out number 2. 2 away here in the top of the 5th. Gateway leads 2-0, and that brings up the second baseman, Seth Heck. Heck 2 for 2 today, 2 singles, and drove in the first run of the game for the Gateway Grizzlies. Matt Frauden didn't face Gateway this season, but his last time against Gateway was on August 23rd of 2015. Went 6 innings of work, gave up 3 runs, all earned on 6 hits, 2 walks, and 3 strikeouts in what would be a loss to the Gateway Grizzlies last season. Here's his first pitch to Seth Heck. Heck bunting and takes this one outside for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count on the second baseman for the Gateway Grizzlies. 2 outs here in the top of the 5th. Frauden set in the 1-0. And Heck takes this one low for a ball. Count goes to 2 balls and no strikes. 2-0 the count on the second baseman for the Grizzlies. Matt Frauden looking for his first 1-2-3 inning since the second inning. Frauden has his sign. Here's the 2-0. And that one's on the outside corner for a strike. Count goes to 2 balls and a strike. So Frauden falling behind here to begin this at-bat to Seth Heck, trying to fight back in this one. He looks in, has his sign. Here's the 2-1. And this ball popped up, foul territory off to the right, but it'll go back into the seats, and the count goes even at 2-2. 2 balls and 2 strikes. No strikeouts yet on the evening for Matt Frauden. Had 6 strikeouts his last time on the mound. Frauden looking in, has his sign. Here's the 2-2. And this ball grounded foul, so the count will remain even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Luke Wilkins in the Wild Things dugout tried to make a barehanded play leaning over the railing. Couldn't do it. Wilkins is tomorrow night's starter, 7:05, game 1 of a 3-game series with the Florence Freedom. Frauden set. Here's the 2-2. And this ball hit the right field. Dave Popkins a couple steps to his left, and he will make the catch, and that is out number 3. 1-2-3 go the Grizzlies here in the 5th, and after 4.5 the score, Gateway 2, your Washington Wild Things nothing. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
PA Leadership Charter School is a proud sponsor of the Washington Wild Things. PALCS is a tuition-free online public school for K-12 students. PALCS can help your child hit a home run in their education through flexibility, student-to-teacher interaction, and socialization opportunities. Go to PALCS.org for more information. Go Wild Things!
PA Leadership Charter School. Lead, don't follow.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball. Bottom of the fifth, and the score, Gateway 2, and your Washington Wild Things nothing. Last inning for the Wild Things, Jamal Austin started things off with a single. Then Ricky Rodriguez popped out, and the Wild Things hit into their third double play in the first 4 innings. Brian Harr, a sharp line drive to Seth Heck at second base, and Jamal Austin caught too far off of the first base bag. He was doubled off to end the inning. Due up here in the fifth, Dave Popkins, Jimmy Yezzo, and Nick Ferdinand facing off against Corey Kimes. Kimes just 2 hits through the first 4 innings against these Washington Wild Things. Dave Popkins and Jamal Austin owning the only hits to this point for the Washington Wild Things. We'd like to remind you that all Sunday home games are donation Sundays, brought to you by Goodwill. Fans are encouraged to bring gently used items to the park on Sundays and enter to win prizes courtesy of Goodwill. The next donation Sunday coming up this Sunday. It'll be Game 3 of a 3-game series with the Florence Freedom. It'll be the last game of this 6-game homestand. So come out Sunday night, 5:05, to support your Washington Wild Things as they play the Florence Freedom. Dave Popkins making his way to lead things off in the fifth. 1 for 1 so far as he singled his first time up. And in the doubleheader yesterday ended up going 2 for 5 as he had 2 doubles, 2 strikeouts, and a ground out. He also walked. Takes the first pitch for a strike, and the count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count. Kimes set. Here's the pitch. And Popkins a ground ball towards third. Bunselmeyer will glove it. Throw across to first. And the throw's too high. Goes past the first baseman, Levy. Popkins around first, heading to second. And he'll be at second to start this inning after the throwing error by John Bunselmeyer. So it's not a hit, but the Wild Things will take it as they get the leadoff man on base here to start the bottom of the fifth. Popkins in scoring position. The first runner the Wild Things have had in scoring position all day, and that'll bring up the designated hitter, Jimmy Yezzo. Yezzo 0 for 1 to this point. Only played in game 1 of the doubleheader yesterday and ended up going 0 for 3. Reached base on an error and grounded out twice. Runner at second, nobody out for the Washington Wild Things. Popkins reaches on the throwing error by Bunselmeyer, and Yezzo stepping up now. Corey Kimes looking in, has his sign. He's set, and the pitch. And Yezzo, a line drive to center field, and this will get down. Popkins had to wait to see if it'll be caught. So Popkins gets to third on the play. Yezzo aboard with a single, and now there's runners at first and third for your Wild Things with nobody out. Popkins would have scored, but he had to wait for that ball to fall in center field. So Greg Langben holds him up at third, and that'll bring up the left fielder, Nick Ferdinand. Ferdinand 0 for 1 with a strikeout in this one, and in last night's doubleheader combined to go 2 for 5 with 2 singles, also 3 flyouts on the night. Runners at first and third, nobody out for your Wild Things as they look to get back in this game. Currently down 2-0. And Nick Ferdinand at the plate. Kimes set, checks Yezzo, here's the pitch. And Ferdinand takes outside for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and no strikes. 1-0 the count on the Wild Things left fielder. Facing off against Corey Kimes. Dave Popkins at third, Jimmy Yezzo at first. Kimes has his sign. Here's the 1-0. And Ferdinand, a fly ball down the right field line, hooking back towards the seats, and it'll go foul. The count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count on Nick Ferdinand. Has 11 RBIs on the season for the Washington Wild Things. Currently tied for 5th on the team with Grant Fink. Kimes looking in, has his sign. He's set. Checks first in the 1-1. And Ferdinand takes this one high. Count goes to 2 balls and a strike. 2-1 the count on Ferdinand. Does have 1 home run on the season, but we'll take a gap shot here with 2 on and nobody out. Kimes set, and the 2-1. This one hit deep to left field, but hooks way foul as the count goes to 2-2. That one probably landed on the W&J field, which is behind the stadium and to the left, as that's how hard Nick Ferdinand hit that ball. 2 balls and 2 strikes. If he can straighten that one out, That one's going to the back of the parking lot. 2-2, nobody out. Dave Popkins at first. He reached on an error. Or at third, he reached on an error. Yezo at first after his single. Kimes set. Here's the 2-2. And a swing and a miss by Ferdinand. So Ferdinand strikes out, and that's out number 1 here in the bottom of the 5th. The third strikeout of the day for Corey Kimes, and that brings up the first baseman Logan Uxa. Uxa 0 for 1, grounded out to first. His last time. Played first base in both games of the doubleheader yesterday, and combined to go 1 for 4 with a single. Also walked, grounded out, and popped out, and flew out. So 1 out here in the bottom of the 5th. Men on first and third. Gateway leads 2-0. Kimes set. Here's the pitch. And Uxa takes this one outside for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. Uxa's patience has gone up at the plate. As we said, he walked 5 times in the 3-game series with Traverse City. Runners at first and third. 1 man out. Popkins at third. Yezo at first. Kimes set. Here's the 1-0. And Uxa takes this one low. Count goes to 2 balls and no strikes. 2-0 the count on the Wild Things first baseman. 1 out here in the bottom of the 5th. As Gateway leads 2-0 over your Wild Things. No action in either bullpen. Kimes has his sign and the 2-0. Uxa takes this one on the outside corner for a strike, and the count goes to 2 balls and 1 strike. Uxa not happy with that call, but he'll step back in with a 2-1 count. 1 out, bottom of the 5th here in front of a little less than halfway full at Consol Energy Park. Kimes set. Here's the 2-1. And a swing and a miss by Uxa, a ball that looked out of the zone, and the count goes even at 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Dave Popkins reached on a 2-base error to start the inning, and then Jimmy Yezo singled. He's at first. There's runners at first and third, 1 out. Uxa trying to get at least 1 in here. Kimes has the sign. Checks first, the 2-2. And that one's outside. Count goes full. 3 balls and 2 strikes. 3-2 the count. The catcher Kyle Pollock on deck for your Washington Wild Things. As Uxa trying to reach base and get at least 1 man in. Kimes has his sign. He's set. And the 3-2. Swinging a ground ball to second. Seth Heck to second for 1 onto first. And it's in time for the double play. 4-3. It's the 4th double play hit into by your Washington Wild Things. And they get no runs on 1 hit, no errors, and a man left. After 5, the score. Gateway 2 and your Washington Wild Things nothing. You're listening to the Washington Wild Things baseball here on the MSA Sports Network.
You just never know how your day is going to go. The same holds true at Penn Station East Coast Subs. For some unsuspecting spuds, they start their day as Idaho potatoes, only to be transformed into hand-hewn fries. Unlucky for them, good for you. However, both your days get better because the fries get a sidle up next to a perfectly grilled Philly cheesesteak. Then, on their way to their final resting place, they get bathed in citric nectar, our signature lemonade. Wherever your day takes you, we recommend Penn Station be one of the stops.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the top of the 6th, and the score, Gateway 2 and your Washington Wild Things nothing. Matt Frauden got a 1-2-3 inning. His last time out got Logan Davis to ground out, Cody Livesey would ground out, and Seth Heck would fly out to end the day. Wild Things not coming through on some opportunities. At first and third, nobody out last inning before Nick Ferdinand struck out, and Logan Uxa hit into the 4th double play by the Wild Things today in 5 innings in this game. They've had chances, just haven't been able to come through with men on base. Due up here in the top of the 6th for Gateway, Craig Masoni, Brandon Thomas, and Tyler Toole, 3, 4, and 5, facing off against Matt Frauden. The Wild Things are offering a flex plan promotion this season. Get a 12-ticket plan for the price of a 10-ticket plan. Flex plans are great for people who have hectic schedules and can take advantage of a season ticket package because they're not sure which games they can attend. A flex plan gets your ticket vouchers at a reduced cost, and you can redeem them whenever it has his sign. Here's the 2-0, and this one hit towards center field, and that'll fall for a base hit. So 2 straight hits here to start the 6th off Matt Frauden. There's runners at first and second with nobody out, and that'll bring up the catcher Tyler Toole. Toole 0 for 2 so far, grounded out in the 2nd inning and flew out in inning number 4. 2 on, nobody out. 2-0 Gateway leads. Toole coming to the plate. Leads the team in terms of average, as we said, with that 345 mark. 7 home runs is good for second on the team. And his 22 RBIs also good for second on this Gateway team. Frauden has his sign, check second, the pitch. And this one's grounded foul off to the right. Count goes to no balls and a strike. There is action in the Wild Things bullpen. Brian O'Keefe starting to throw out there for your Wild Things. Frauden looking in to his catcher Kyle Pollock. Has his sign. He's set. Checks second and the 0-1. And a swing and a miss. Count goes to no balls and 2 strikes. Men at first and second here with nobody out. Craig Masoni stands on second. He singled, and then Brandon Thomas followed that up at first. He singled himself. No balls, 2 strikes, nobody out, top of the 6th. Matt Frauden has his sign. He's set. Checks second, the 0-2. And that one's outside for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2, nobody out. Here in the top of inning number 6. Frauden has his sign. He's set. Here's the 1-2. And that one's high for a ball. Count goes to 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2 straight balls here thrown by Matt Frauden after getting an 0-2 count and giving up 2 hits to start the inning. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Frauden looking in. Has his sign. He's set. And the 2-2 pitch. And this one grounded foul, so the count remains 2 balls and 2 strikes. Tyler Toole giving Matt Frauden a battle here. After being down 0-2, has fouled off a pitch and has taken 2 pitches for balls. 2 balls, 2 strikes, nobody out. Frauden looking in. Has his sign. He's set. Checks second, the 2-2. And a swing and a miss. Tyler Toole strikes out, and that's out number 1. The first strikeout of the day for Matt Frauden. There's 1 out here in the top of the 6th, and that'll bring up the right fielder, Blake Brown. Brown 0 for 1, grounded out, or 1 for 2, grounded out in the second, and hit an RBI single in inning number 4, driving in that second run of the game for the Gateway Grizzlies. 1 out here in the top of the 6th. Matt Frauden on the mound. Allowed 2 hits to start the inning, but then got the strikeout of Tyler Toole. Now facing Blake Brown. He's set. Here's the pitch, and this one's low for a ball. 1 ball and no strikes. Craig Masoni on second. Brandon Thomas at first after back-to-back singles to lead off the inning. Frauden looking in to catcher Pollock. Frauden has his sign. He's set. Checks second and the 1-0. And that one's inside for a ball. Count goes to 2 balls and no strikes. 2-0 the count here on Blake Brown, the right-handed hitter facing the right-hander Matt Frauden. 2-0, 1 out here in the top of the 6th. 2 runs, 8 hits, 1 error for the Grizzlies. No runs, 3 hits, no errors for the Wild Things. Frauden's 2-0. And this ball hit towards right center. Dave Popkins shaded over there a little bit. He'll make the catch, and his throw back in will hold Craig Masoni at second base. So there are now 2 outs and runners at first and second for the Gateway Grizzlies. And that'll bring up the first baseman, Zach Levy. Levy 0 for 2 so far. Flew out to center field in the second and also flew out to center field in the 4th. 2 outs, top of the 6th. Gateway leads 2-0 over your Washington Wild Things here from Consol Energy Park. You're listening to the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball. I'm Zach Ziegler. Matt Frauden has his sign. Checks second. Here's the pitch. And Levy a ground ball to second. Brian Haar has it. Throw on to first. And it's in time for out number 3. No runs in the inning on 2 hits, no errors, and 2 men left on base. And after 5.5 the score, Gateway 2 and your Washington Wild Things nothing. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
When looking to replace your athletic field, choose ProGrass, first in turf. ProGrass has installed over 500 fields in the U.S. Getting the best artificial turf for your field depends upon both the product and the partner you choose. That's why architects, athletic directors, and players choose the ProGrass Performance System. ProGrass maintains an active presence in the field turf industry as members of the Sports Turf Management Association and the American Sports Builder Association, and is proud to be recognized as a FIFA preferred manufacturer. Call ProGrass today at 866-270-6003 or visit them on the web at www.progressturf.com. ProGrass, first in turf.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the bottom of the 6th, and the score, the Gateway Grizzlies 2, and your Washington Wild Things nothing. Last inning, the Wild Things threatened as Dave Popkins reached on a two-base error to start things. Then Jimmy Yeso singled before Nick Ferdinand struck out, and Logan Uxa hit into the fourth double play hit into by the Washington Wild Things in 5 innings today. He hit into a 4-3 double play that would end the inning. Due up here in the bottom of the 6th for the Wild Things, Kyle Pollock, Austin Wobrock, and Jamal Austin, 8, 9, and 1, facing off against Corey Kimes. And Kimes has been very good so far, just giving up 3 hits. As we said, the double play ball has been his friend. He's had 4 double plays in 5 innings of work. Kyle Pollock making his way to the plate to lead things off here in the 6th. Pollock so far 0 for 1, struck out his first time up. Caught game 1 of the doubleheader yesterday and went 0 for 2. Did have a sacrifice fly in that one. So Pollock makes his way to the plate with the Grizzlies leading 2-0 as the Wild Things look to get back in this one here in the bottom of the 6th. Kimes has his sign. Here's the pitch. And Pollock takes inside for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count on the catcher, Kyle Pollock. Pollock playing in game number 6 since coming off of the DL. Here's the 1-0. And Pollock a line drive to center field. Brandon Thomas not having to move, and he'll make the catch. That's out number 1. That ball hit very hard by Kyle Pollock, but unfortunately right at the center fielder, Brandon Thomas. That'll bring up the shortstop, Austin Wobrock. Wobrock currently 0 for 1 as he grounded out his first time up. And in yesterday's doubleheader, Wobrock combined to go 1 for 4 with a double and a run scored. Also grounded out, struck out, and flew out. Here's the first pitch from Kimes, and that one's on the outside corner for a strike. No balls and a strike here against Austin Wobrock. The number 9 hitter in the Wild Things order. 1 out here in the bottom of the 6th. Wild Things down 2-0 to the Grizzlies. Kimes set. Here's the 0-1. And a swing and a miss by Wobrock on a pitch that looked outside, and the count goes to 0-2. No balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Brian O'Keefe has sat down in the Wild Things bullpen now after warming up. So we'll see if he comes in for the 7th or if they let Matt Frauden keep pitching. Here's the 0-2 from Kimes, and that one's low for a ball. Wobrock's count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1 out. Gateway Grizzlies lost game 1 to the Washington Wild Things. Wild Things won 5-1 in game 1 of the doubleheader yesterday. Then in game 2, Grizzlies came back and got the 2-1 victory late. Here's the 1-2. And a called strike 3 on Austin Wobrock on a pitch that looked outside, but he's called out on strikes, and that is out number 2. That'll bring up Jamal Austin. Austin 1 for 2 so far. Grounded out in the first and singled in inning number 4. 2 outs, bottom of the 6th. Gateway leads 2-0 over your Washington Wild Things, as that was strikeout number 4 on the day for Corey Kimes. First pitch outside for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes on Jamal Austin. 1-0 the count, 2 outs. Austin extended his hitting streak now to 10 games with his single in the 4th. Here's the 1-0, and that one's a called strike. Count goes even at 1-1. 1 ball, 1 strike on the Wild Things center fielder. Facing off against Corey Kimes. Kimes has his sign. Here's the 1-1. And this one fouled away back into the seats, 1-2. Jamal Austin missed a couple straight games as he was dealing with a leg injury. Stepped on first base awkwardly in the 3rd game of the series against Traverse City. Missed the entire 3-game series against the Schaumburg Boomers and was back for game 1 last night. Here's the 1-2. And a swing and a miss. Austin strikes out, and that will end the inning. 1-2-3 go your Wild Things here in the 6th. And after 6 innings of play, the score, Gateway 2, your Washington Wild Things nothing. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
Come out to Consol Energy Park throughout the entire 2016 season to support Andrew Heck, Jamal Austin, Dave Popkins, and the rest of your 2016 Washington Wild Things. The 6-game homestand continues this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, July 1st through the 3rd, when the Wild Things play a 3-game series with the Florence Freedom. It all starts on July 1st, a 7:05 first pitch for Game 1 of the series, and a fantastic fireworks display following the game. So watch a good game and stick around for some fireworks afterwards. Then the series continues Saturday at 7:05 when the first 1,000 fans get a pair of sunglasses presented by Mylan. The series will conclude Sunday, July 3rd at 5:05 p.m. when it's a Kids Sunday. All kids get to run the bases after the game. Come out to Consol Energy Park all season. For tickets, go to www.washingtonwildthings.com or call the box office at 866-456-WILD. Washington Wild Things Baseball, let's get wild.
We're back here in the top of inning number 7, and the score, the Gateway Grizzlies 2 and your Washington Wild Things nothing. You're listening to Wild Things Baseball here on the MSA Sports Network. Last inning, Grizzlies threatened but didn't get one across as Craig Masoni and Brandon Thomas back-to-back singles to start the inning against Matt Frauden. Then Tyler Toole struck out, Blake Brown flew out, and Zach Levy would ground out to end the 6th inning. Due up here in the 7th, John Bunselmeyer, Logan Davis, and Cody Livesey, 8, 9, and 1, facing off against Matt Frauden. Frauden so far, just the 2 runs, both earned on 8 hits. Giving up 8 hits and no errors for the Washington Wild Things. The Wild Things no runs on 3 hits, and the Gateway Grizzlies have committed 1 error on the day. Bunselmeyer stepping in to lead things off. He's 1 for 2 so far, doubled his first time and then flew out. Frauden said, here's the pitch, and Bunselmeyer will take inside for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. Bunselmeyer's double came in the 3rd, his fly out in the 4th. 1-0 the count, Frauden set, and here's his 1-0 pitch. And this one's low as well for a ball. Count goes to 2 balls and no strikes. 2-0 the count on Bunselmeyer. Played third base in the first 2 games of this series, playing there again tonight. Frauden looking in, has his sign, the 2-0. And this one swung on and fouled back, takes the mask off of the home plate umpire, Robert Howard, as Kyle Pollock will walk out and talk to Frauden for a little bit to give the home plate umpire some time. He looks all right as he got up and now dusting off home plate, getting rid of any tire tracks that might be on home plate. Playing on the artificial turf field here, field installed by Progress. And there are the tire marks on the field, so he had to make sure those were off a home plate. The meeting on the mound's done. 2-1 the count, nobody out here in the top of the 7th. John Bunselmeyer at the plate. Frauden looking in, has his sign. Here's the 2-1. And Bunselmeyer takes this one high, so Frauden falls behind. 3 balls and a strike to start this top of the 7th inning. We saw Brian O'Keefe up and warming last inning, but he has sat back down since. Frauden set the 3-1, and that one's a called strike on the outside part of the plate. Count goes full 3-2 to Bunselmeyer. Logan Davis, the on-deck hitter for the Gateway Grizzlies. Frauden looking in, has his sign, and he's set. Here's the 3-2 pitch. And Bunselmeyer line drive into left field, and that's a base hit. The leadoff man reaches for the 2nd inning in a row against Matt Frauden. There's a runner at first with nobody out, and that'll bring up the shortstop, Logan Davis. Davis 0 for 1 so far. Sacrifice bunt in the 3rd and grounded out in inning number 5. Nobody out here in the top of the 7th. Gateway Grizzlies lead 2-0 over your Washington Wild Things. For Bunselmeyer, currently no stolen bases to this point in his Grizzlies career, playing in game number 10 of the season. Frauden has his sign, looking in. Here's the pitch. And this pitch is called a strike on the outside part of the plate. No balls and a strike. 0-1 the count. Action again in the Wild Things bullpen, as once again O'Keefe gets up and starts throwing. Frauden has his sign, checks first. Here's the 0-1. Davis bunts, now pulls back and takes a ball. Count goes even at 1-1. 1 ball, 1 strike here to Logan Davis out at shortstop for the Gateway Grizzlies tonight. He's played shortstop in each of the first 2 games. Frauden set. Here's the 1-1. Davis bunting this time and gets it down. Kyle Pollock pounces on it, throws on to first, and another sacrifice bunt here from Logan Davis. His 2nd sack bunt of the day, 2-3 on the putout, and that moves Bunselmeyer up to 2nd with 1 away. That'll bring in the left fielder, Cody Livesey. Livesey so far 1 for 2, singled in the 1st, walked in the 3rd, and grounded out in inning number 5. 1 man out here in the top of the 7th. Runner at 2nd is John Bunselmeyer. He singled to start things. And now Cody Livesey at the plate. Matt Frauden looking in. Frauden has his sign. Checks 2nd and the pitch. And that one's a called strike on the outside corner. No balls and a strike. Just the 1 strikeout today so far for Matt Frauden. Had 6 strikeouts his last time on the hill. A lot of contact against him as he's given up 9 hits. Frauden looking in. Has his sign. He's set. Checks 2nd and the 0-1. And this ball's in the dirt, blocked by Kyle Pollock. Count goes even at 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count here on Cody Livesey. the leadoff man for these Gateway Grizzlies. This is actually the last time that the Wild Things will see the Gateway Grizzlies here in the regular season. Fraud and set, and the 1-1. And Livesey, a line drive to center field. Going out is hard. It's over his head. Bunselmeyer will be waved to the plate. Here comes Austin's throw, and it is in time to nail Bunselmeyer at the plate, and that is out number 2. Bunselmeyer thrown out on the strong throw by Jamal Austin. That cuts a run at the plate. Cody Livesey still on with a single. So there's a runner at first and 2 outs. At a shallow fly ball in center field. Was kind of surprised that Phil Warren sent Bunselmeyer on that one, but it worked out well for the Wild Things. The throw was a little bit up the third base line. Kyle Pollock gets it and dives behind himself to make the tag for the out. That brings up Seth Heck. Heck 2 for 3, 2 singles, an RBI, and also flew out. Fraud and set, here's the pitch, and that one's on the inside corner for a strike. No balls and 1 strike. 2 outs, top of the 7th. Grizzlies lead 2-0 over your Washington Wild Things. Frauden looking in, has his sign, checks first, and the 0-1. And that one's in the dirt, blocked by Kyle Pollock. Count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike. The throw out by Jamal Austin stops the Grizzlies from adding on to their 2-0 lead, as that could be a game changer if the Wild Things can get to the bat racks and start getting going offensively. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 outs here in the top of the 7th. Frauden has his sign. He's set. Here's the pitch. And that one's a called strike on the inside corner as well. Count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 the count. 2 men out here in the top of the 7th. As Frauden looking to get out of this inning without allowing a run. Frauden looks in, has his sign. Checks first, the 1-2. And that one's just outside for a ball. Count goes even to 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2 the count, 2 men out. Frauden looking for just his 2nd strikeout of the day, if he can get it. Frauden has his sign. He's set. And the 2-2. Swinging a ground ball to second. Brian Haar has it. He'll throw on to first. And that's in time for out number 3. No runs in the inning on 2 hits, no errors, and a man left. And after 6.5, the score, Gateway 2, Washington 0. We're going to send you down to the field for Take Me Out to the Ball Game. You're listening to Washington Wild Things Baseball on the MSA Sports Network.
Things.
You just never know how your day is going to go. The same holds true at Penn Station East Coast Subs. For some unsuspecting spuds, they start their day as Idaho potatoes, only to be transformed into hand-hewn fries. Unlucky for them, good for you. However, both your days get better because the fries get to sidle up next to a perfectly grilled Philly cheesesteak. Then, on their way to their final resting place, they get bathed in citric nectar, our signature lemonade. Wherever your day takes you, we recommend Penn Station be one of the stops.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the bottom of the 7th, and the score, Gateway 2, and your Washington Wild Things 0. Last inning, the Wild Things would go 1-2-3 against starter Corey Kimes. Kyle Pollock flew out, Austin Wolbrock struck out, and Jamal Austin struck out to end that 6th inning. Due up here in the bottom of the 7th, Ricky Rodriguez, Brian Haar, and Dave Popkins, 2, 3, and 4, facing off against Corey Kimes. Kimes has just allowed 3 hits so far through the first 6 innings. Wild Things have hit into 4 double plays on the night. As Ricky Rodriguez steps in to lead things off, Rodriguez so far 0 for 1, walked in the first, and popped out in inning number 4. Kimes looking in, has his sign. Here's the pitch. And Rodriguez takes this first one low for a ball. 1 ball and no strikes. 1-0 the count on Rodriguez. Brian O'Keefe ready out in the Wild Things bullpen. Likely to come on in the 8th. Kimes set. Here's the 1-0. And Rodriguez takes this one inside as well. 2 balls and no strikes. Wild Things have had men on in the 1st, 2nd, 4th, 5th, and That's it so far. Looking to do it here in the 7th. Here's the 2-0. Rodriguez down the line and a fair ball just past the diving Bunselmeyer. Rodriguez around first, heading to second, and he's going to pull into second with a leadoff double. Rodriguez getting in scoring position to start things for your Wild Things, and we'll see if they can make something out of it here in the bottom of the 7th, down by 2. That'll bring up the second baseman, Brian Haar. Haar 0 for 2 so far, is hitting the 2 double plays today, a 4-6-3 double play in the first, and a 4-3 double play in the 4th. Now as a runner at second with nobody out, the team leader in RBIs with 28, looking to drive in another one here and get your Wild Things on the board. Rodriguez at second with nobody out. Kimes looking in, has his sign, he's set, checks second, here's the pitch. And Haar takes this one for a strike at the letters, no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count on Brian Haar, 9 home runs, 28 RBIs on the year. Came into tonight hitting .228. Corey Kimes looking in, has his sign, checks Rodriguez at second. And the 0-1. And that one's way outside for a ball. Count goes even at 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1, nobody out. Brian Haar stands in at 6'3", 220 from San Diego, California. Trying to drive in Ricky Rodriguez from second. Kimes has his sign. Here's the 1-1. And Haar takes this one outside for a ball. Count goes to 2 balls and a strike. Kimes through the first 6 innings just allowed 3 hits and no runs. And action now in the bullpen over there for the Gateway Grizzlies. Kimes has his sign, the 2-1. And Haar, a fly ball to left field. Going back is Livesey, and in front of the track, he's going to make the catch, and that's in time for out number 1. Rodriguez, faking like he was going to tag, gets the throw in from Livesey, but will stay at second base with just 1 out, and that'll bring up the right fielder, Dave Popkins. Popkins 1 for 2, singled in the second, and reached on a 2-base error in the 5th. 1 man out, runner at second for the Washington Wild Things, as Ricky Rodriguez led this inning off with a double. Kimes looking in, has his sign. He's set, checks second, and the pitch. Popkins takes this one on the outside corner for a strike, no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count on Dave Popkins here. 1 out, bottom of the 7th. Gateway leads 2-0 over your Washington Wild Things. Kimes has his sign, checks second, the 0-1. And Popkins pops it up on the right side of the infield, going over his Levy now into foul territory, and he'll make the catch, and that's out number 2. So after the leadoff double, the next 2 men fly out and pop out, and that'll bring up the designated hitter, Jimmy Yezzo. Yezzo 1 for 2 so far, hitting to a 4-6-3 double play in the second, and singled in inning number 5. 2 outs, bottom of the 7th. Gateway Grizzlies lead 2-0 over your Washington Wild Things, and the guy warming up out in the Gateway bullpen is Jordan Wallander, the right-hander warming up out there. Kimes has his sign. Here's the pitch. Yezzo, a ground ball towards second. Seth Heck will handle it. Throw on to first is in time for out number 3. So no runs in the inning on 1 hit, no errors, and a man left. And after 7, the score, Gateway 2, your Washington Wild Things 0. We'll be right back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball.
When looking to replace your athletic field, choose ProGrass, first in turf. ProGrass has installed over 500 fields in the U.S. Getting the best artificial turf for your field depends upon both the product and the partner you choose. That's why architects, athletic directors, and players choose the ProGrass Performance System. ProGrass maintains an active presence in the field turf industry as members of the Sports Turf Management Association and the American Sports Builder Association, and is proud to be recognized as a FIFA preferred manufacturer. Call ProGrass today at 866-270-6003 or visit them on the web at www.progressturf.com. ProGrass, first in turf.
AAA members enjoy 24/7 roadside assistance, exclusive member-only discounts, expert travel assistance, free identity theft protection, and much more. With that AAA card in your wallet or purse, you have the peace of mind, safety, and security that only AAA membership can provide. Already a member? Don't forget to renew. Not a member? Join AAA today at any nearby office or online at AAA.com. AAA, we're always with you.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball. Top of the 8th in the score. Gateway 2 and your Washington Wild Things nothing. Pitching change for the Washington Wild Things as coming on to work in this one, Brian O'Keefe. O'Keefe enters with a record of 1-0, a 2.18 ERA, appearing in his 10th game. Has thrown 12 1/3 innings so far, giving up 4 runs, 3 earned on 9 hits, 10 strikeouts to 4 walks in his 12 1/3 innings worked. Final line on the starter, Matt Frauden. Frauden goes 7 innings, gives up 2 runs, both earned, on 10 hits, 1 walk, and 1 strikeout. Due up to face Brian O'Keefe here in inning number 8 will be 3, 4, and 5. Craig Massoni, Brandon Thomas, and Tyler Toole. Massoni making his way to the plate. And so far for Massoni, he's 1 for 3, hitting a 5-4-3 double play in the first, flew out in the third, and singled in inning number 6. O'Keefe, the new pitcher, on here to replace Frauden. O'Keefe said, here's the pitch, and Massoni fouls this one away into the stands, no balls and a strike. O'Keefe, the 3rd lowest ERA on this Washington Wild Things team, sits at 2.18, behind Trevor Foss at 2.04 and Zach Groats at 1.28. O'Keefe has his sign, the 0-1, and that one's high. Count goes even at 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count on Craig Massoni. The designated hitter for the Gateway Grizzlies tonight was at first base for Game 1 and the DH in Game 2. The 1-1, and that one's low and inside for a ball, so O'Keefe falls behind 2-1 to the first man he faces here in the 8th. O'Keefe looking in, has his sign, the 2-1. And this ball grounded to short. Austin Wobrock handles it. He'll throw on to first, and that's in time for out number 1. O'Keefe retires the first man he faces here in the 8th, and that'll bring up the center fielder, Brandon Thomas. Thomas 2 for 3, flew out in the first, doubled and scored a run in the 4th, and singled in inning number 6. 1 out. Gateway has 2 runs on 10 hits and an error. Wild Things no run, 4 hits, and no errors. As O'Keefe facing Brandon Thomas. O'Keefe set, here's the pitch, and a swing and a miss by Thomas. Count goes to 0-1. No balls and a strike on the center fielder for Gateway. His time is called at the plate as he's stepping in. O'Keefe has his sign, here's the 0-1. And this one swung on and fouled back off the mask of Kyle Pollock behind the plate. And the count goes to no balls and 2 strikes. Pollock shaking himself off and getting ready to get back in there. 0-2, 1 man out here in the top of the 8th. Gateway up 2-0 over your Wild Things. Brian O'Keefe, his 10th appearance out of the bullpen this season. 10 strikeouts in 12 1/3 for O'Keefe. O'Keefe has his sign. He's set. Here's the 0-2. And that one's a called strike 3. O'Keefe strikes out Thomas. And that's the second out here in the top of the 8th. And that'll bring up the catcher, Tyler Toole. Toole so far 0 for 3. Grounded out in the second, flew out in the 4th, and struck out in inning number 6. O'Keefe's last time on the mound was on the Wednesday night game against Traverse City. Struck out 4 of the 6 men he faced in that contest. O'Keefe set, here's the pitch. And that one's a called strike at the knees, no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count on Tyler Toole, the catcher. O'Keefe's 0-1, and that one's low for a ball. 1 ball, 1 strike. O'Keefe's retired the first 2 men he's faced out of the bullpen tonight. That was a 1-1 count on Toole. He's set, here's the pitch. Swing and a miss, and the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. O'Keefe has really been good with the strikeout pitch, the long relief man for the Wild Things. As coming on here in the 8th to get some work, the 1-2. And this one lined to center field. That'll fall for a 2-out single. Tyler Toole reaches base with 2 outs here in the top of the 8th. And that brings up the right fielder, Blake Brown. Brown in this one, 1 for 3, grounded out in the second, an RBI single in the 4th, and flew out in inning number 6. 2 outs here in the top of the 8th. Gateway Grizzlies lead 2-0 over your Washington Wild Things. As Brian O'Keefe trying to get the 3rd out of this inning. He has his sign, he's setting the pitch. And that one's a called strike on the outside corner, no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count on the right fielder, Brown. Runner at first is Tyler Toole. He's singled with 2 outs. O'Keefe has his sign, checks first, and the 0-1. And this ball popped up. Shallow right, Brian Haar going out, and Haar will make the catch. That is out number 3. No runs in the inning on 1 hit, no errors, and a man left. And after 7.5, the score, Gateway 2, your Washington Wild Things nothing. You're listening to Wild Things Baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
How does a 120-year-old company like Henderson Brothers keep up in a world that changes every minute, that keeps throwing curveballs, that flaunts new technology, that demands responsiveness? The answer is simple. With expertise. We insure the most successful corporations in the area, and they in turn recommend us. And for that, we're grateful. Henderson Brothers. Expect an expert.
Hi, this is Hines Ward. If you're a high school sports fan, the place to go all year round is the MSA Sports Network. Log on every day to www.msasports.net for the schedules, the scores, the standings, the rankings, and of course, all of the broadcasts includes exclusive Whitfield playoffs and championship action. Anytime, anywhere, always there, the MSA Sports Network.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the bottom of the 8th, and the score, Gateway 2 and your Washington Wild Things nothing. Corey Kimes still out there for his 8th inning of work, has just allowed 4 hits so far on the day. Last inning, the Wild Things got one of those 4 hits as Ricky Rodriguez started things off with a double. Then Brian Harr flew out, Dave Popkins popped out, and Jimmy Yezzo would ground out to end the 7th inning. Due up here in the 8th, Nick Ferdinand, Logan Uxa, and Kyle Pollock, 6, 7, and 8, facing off against Corey Kimes as the Wild Things try to get on the board. Nick Ferdinand makes his way to the plate. Ferdinand so far 0 for 2, struck out in the 2nd and struck out in inning number 5, coming up here in the 8th inning against Kimes. Like to remind you, Wild Things next game tomorrow night, 7:05 first pitch, as the Wild Things welcome in the Florence Freedom for a 3-game series. Kimes set, here's the pitch. And Ferdinand takes the first one in the outside corner for a strike. No balls and a strike. 0-1 the count on the Wild Things left fielder. No outs here in the bottom of the 8th. Here's the 0-1. And Ferdinand takes that one, this time outside for a ball. Count goes even at 1-1. 1 ball, 1 strike on the left fielder for your Washington Wild Things. Kimes looking in, has his sign, the 1-1. And Ferdinand takes this one inside. Count goes to 2 balls and a strike. 2-1 the count on Ferdinand, trying to get on base to lead off the 8th. The Wild Things had the leadoff man on in the 7th. The leadoff man also reached in the 5th, 4th, and 2nd. Kimes set, here's the 2-1. And Ferdinand, a fly ball down the right field line. Brown going back, he watches, and it hooks just foul. Would have been a home run if it was a fair ball, but the count goes to 2 balls and 2 strikes, and it just ends up a long strike 2. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and nobody out. More action out there in the Gateway bullpen as Will LaMarche warming up. Kimes looking in, has his sign, the 2-2. And that one's low for a ball. Count goes full to Ferdinand. 3 balls and 2 strikes. 3-2 the count. Logan Uxa, the on-deck batter for your Washington Wild Things. 2-0 Gateway leads here in the bottom of inning number 8. Nick Ferdinand at the plate. Kimes set the 3-2, and this one grounded to 2nd. Seth Heck handles it, throw on to 1st, and it's in time for out number 1. 1 away for the Wild Things here in the bottom of the 8th, and that brings up the first baseman, Logan Uxa. Uxa grounded out to 1st in the 3rd inning and hit into a 4-3 double play in inning number 5. 1 out here in the bottom of the 8th. Gateway leads 2-0, 2 runs, 11 hits, 1 error for the Grizzlies. No runs on 4 hits and no errors for the Washington Wild Things. Kimes looking in, has his sign, here's the pitch. Uxa takes this one on the outside part of the plate for a ball, 1 ball and no strikes. 1-0 the count on the Wild Things first baseman. Kimes looks in, has his sign, the 1-0. And Uxa takes this one low, count goes to 2 balls and no strikes. 2-0, 1 man out here in the bottom of the 8th. Corey Kimes facing Logan Uxa. Here's the 2-0. Uxa takes this one on the outside corner for a strike. 2 balls and 1 strike. As we said, Robert Howard behind the plate gives that outside part of the plate. Kimes set in the 2-1. And Uxa takes this one way outside this time. 3 balls and a strike. Second 3-ball count in the inning for Corey Kimes, as he's thrown 7 shutout innings to this point. Kimes set. Here's the 3-1. And that one's low ball 4. Logan Uxa, a 1-out walk, gives the Wild Things a base runner. Uxa's second walk of the series. And that'll bring up the catcher, Kyle Pollock. Pollock 0 for 2, struck out in the third, and flew out in inning number 6. 1-out runner at first base for your Wild Things here in the bottom of the 8th. They're currently down 2-0 to the Gateway Grizzlies here at Consol Energy Park. Kimes has his sign, the pitch, and Pollock takes this one on the inside corner for a strike. No balls and a strike. 0-1 the count on Kyle Pollock, playing in his 6th game off of the disabled list. Started the first game of the year for the Wild Things, and now coming back after an AC joint injury. The 0-1. And this one fouled away towards the Gateway dugout, and the count goes to 0-2 on Pollock. No balls, 2 strikes, and 1 man out here in the bottom of the 8th. Pollock at the plate, Logan Uxa on first base. He walked with 1 out in this inning. Kimes looking in, has his sign. He's set, checks first, and the 0-2. And that one's high for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 on Kyle Pollock, standing in there at 6 foot 215 from Clinton, Ohio, product of the Kansas City Royals organization. Kimes has his sign. He's set, the 1-2. And Pollock, a line drive to second. Seth Heck charges to get it, throw to first. Not in time to double up Logan Uxa. So Pollock lines out to second, and there are 2 outs here in the bottom of the 8th. That'll bring up the shortstop, Austin Wobrock. Wobrock 0 for 2, grounded out to first in the 3rd inning, and then struck out in inning number 6. The number 9 hitter in the Wild Things order is 0 for 2, trying to get Uxa around from first base. Kimes looking in, has his sign, he's set, here's the pitch. Wobrock checks his swing and takes this one outside for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count on Austin Wobrock. No sign of action in the Wild Things bullpen, so O'Keefe will come back out for the 9th inning. Kimes has his sign, he's set. Here's the 1-0. And that one's in there for a strike this time on the outside corner. Count goes even to 1-1. Austin Wobrock not really agreeing as he steps out, does a walk, and now gets back in. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 outs, bottom of the 8th. Kimes has his sign. Here's the 1-1. Swing and a miss by Wobrock, and the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 the count here against Corey Kimes. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 8th. Austin Wobrock at the plate. The Wild Things down 2-0. Kimes looking in. Has his sign. He's set. Checks first, and the 1-2. And this one fouled away back into the stands. Watch out over there. A missile going into the seating area. And the count remains 1-2. Luckily just hit off a stone wall over there. And a bunch of kids running for that baseball. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 men out in the bottom of the 8th. Kimes has his sign. Here's the pitch. And a swing and a miss by Wobrock. He strikes out, and the inning is over. No runs, no hits, no errors, and a man left. And after 8 innings of play, the score, the Gateway Grizzlies 2 and your Washington Wild Things nothing. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
Hi, this is Hines Ward. If you're a high school sports fan, the place to go all year round is the MSA Sports Network. Log on every day to www.msasports.net for the schedules, the scores, the standings, the rankings, and of course, all of the broadcasts includes exclusive Whitfield playoffs and championship action. Anytime, anywhere, always there, the MSA Sports Network.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball. Going to the top of the 9th in the score, Gateway 2 and your Washington Wild Things nothing. Brian O'Keefe back out there for inning number 9. Came into relief starter Matt Frodden in the 8th inning. Frodden's final line, 7 innings, 2 runs, 2 earned on 10 hits, 1 walk and 1 strikeout in last inning against O'Keefe. Craig Masoni grounded out, Brandon Thomas struck out, Tyler Toole singled, and Blake Brown popped out to end the inning. Some scores from around the league. Here in the top of the 6th, Joe Liette leading the River City Rascals 4-2. In the bottom of the fourth, the Traverse City Beach Bums and the Normal Corn Belters are tied at 3. Windy City and Evansville tied at 3 in the bottom of the fourth. Schaumburg currently leads the Southern Illinois Miners 5-4 in the top of the third. And in the bottom of the seventh, it's Florence Freedom 5 and Lake Erie 1. The Wild Things' next game tomorrow night, 7:05 first pitch, as they welcome in those Florence Freedom. Currently in last place in the West Division, your Wild Things enter today in third in the Frontier League East. Zach Levy stepping in to lead things off here in the ninth, and he takes a pitch outside for a ball, 1 ball and no strikes. Levy to this point 0 for 3, flew out in the second, flew out in the fourth, and grounded out in the sixth. O'Keefe set, here's the pitch. And that one's a called strike. Count goes even at 1-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. 7, 8, and 9 due up this inning for Gateway. Levy, Bunselmeyer, and Davis. O'Keefe's 1-1, and this one fouled into the stands. Count goes to 1-2. 1 ball, 2 strikes, and nobody out. As Brian O'Keefe in for his second inning of work. Third lowest ERA on this team with a 2.18 ERA. O'Keefe's 1-2, and that one's outside for a ball. Count goes even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2 the count here on Zach Levy. Still looking for his first Gateway hit. Will LaMarche continues to warm up in the Gateway bullpen. Here's the 2-2, and that one's outside. Count goes full here on Levy. 3 balls and 2 strikes. John Bunselmeyer, the on-deck hitter for the Gateway Grizzlies. They lead 2-0 over your Wild Things. O'Keefe has his sign. Here's the 3-2. And this ball hit down the left field line in foul territory. Rodriguez giving chase, and he'll watch this one land in the pavilion areas. And the count remains full at 3-2. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 1 strikeout on the day for Brian O'Keefe here in his second inning of work out of the bullpen. O'Keefe looking in, has his sign, the 3-2. And this one grounded towards third. Wolbrock a sliding stop, and he can't get to it. So Levy a base hit, his first Grizzlies hit to lead off the top of the ninth against Brian O'Keefe. That'll bring in the third baseman, John Bunselmeyer. Bunselmeyer so far 2 for 3. A double in the third, flew out in the fourth, and singled in inning number 7. And with Brian O'Keefe out there today, the starter for Sunday's game is still to be announced. Thought we might see Brian O'Keefe make that start. However, since he's out there today, those chances look a little slim. And we'll see who the Wild Things use, as none of their starters will be on 5 days rest. O'Keefe has his sign, checks first, here's the pitch. And that one's outside for a ball, 1 ball, no strikes. Colin Stanley up and throwing in the Wild Things bullpen. O'Keefe looking in, has his sign, checks first, and the 1-0. And that one's in there for a strike, 1 ball, 1 strike. The starters for next series for your Washington Wild Things, the Gnome ones. Tomorrow night it'll be Luke Wilkins versus Patrick McGrath. And on Saturday, Sam Agnew-Whelan will face Cody Gray. O'Keefe has his sign, checks first, here's the 1-1. And this ball popped up behind first base in foul territory. Uxa giving chase, and he makes the nice running catch. Logan Uxa, a running play as he makes the catch for out number 1. Had to go all the way back to the Wild Things bullpen from his first base position and makes a nice running catch for out number 1. That'll bring up the shortstop, Logan Davis. Davis 0 for 1. A sac bunt in the third, a ground out in the fifth, and another sacrifice bunt in inning number 7. Runner at first, 1 man out. That's Zach Levy over there at first. And Logan Davis at the plate. O'Keefe set, checks first, the pitch. And that one's a called strike, no balls and a strike. A very nice running catch by Logan Uxa back behind first base. Able to make that play and gets a little chuckle out of it. O'Keefe set, checks first, the 0-1. Davis checks his swing, appeal to the field umpire. And they say he does not go around. Count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1, 1 man out here in the top of the ninth. Gateway leads 2-0. O'Keefe has his sign. He's set. And the 1-1. And this ball popped up on the infield. Kyle Pollock can't find it. Logan Uxa coming in, and Pollock now finds it and makes the catch. That's out number 2. Pollock at first had no idea where that baseball was. Had to be pointed out to him by Brian O'Keefe, but he finds it and is able to make the catch for the second out. That'll bring up the left fielder, Cody Livesey. Livesey is 2 for 3 so far. Single in the first, walked in the third, grounded out in the fifth, and singled in inning number 7. 2 outs here in the top of the 9th. Gateway leads 2-0 over your Washington Wild Things. O'Keefe looking for his second scoreless inning of work. As Zach Levy over there at first base, he singled to lead things off. O'Keefe has his sign, checks first, and the pitch. And that one's on the outside corner for a strike. No balls and a strike. 0-1 the count on Cody Livesey. O'Keefe has his sign, checks first, and the 0-1. And that one's low for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count. 2 men out here in the top of the 9th. O'Keefe trying to get the Wild Things to the bat racks in the bottom of the 9th. O'Keefe has his sign, checks first. Here's the 1-1. And this one grounded towards second. Brian Harr's going to have to charge. Glove, throw to first. And in time for out number 3. A tough play, but Brian O'Hare makes it. And that is out number 3. No runs in the inning on 1 hit, no errors, and a man left on to the bottom of the 9th. Wild Things need 2 to tie, 3 to win. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
It's time to start thinking about the 2016 MSA Sports Kennywood All-Star Preseason Football Team. Make sure that your team's most outstanding players from last season are part of this year's ballot. Nominate them. All players who were active on the WPIAL District 7 and District 8 team rosters during the 2015-2016 seasons are eligible. In addition to nominating members of the offensive and defensive teams, we are also requesting nominations for our 2nd annual Perseverance and Courage Award. For more information, visit www.msasports.net.
PA Leadership Charter School is a proud sponsor of the Washington Wild Things. PALCS is a tuition-free online public school for K-12 students. PALCS can help your child hit a home run in their education through flexibility, student-to-teacher interaction, and socialization opportunities. Go to PALCS.org for more information. Go Wild Things!
PA Leadership Charter School. Lead, don't follow.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball. On to the bottom of the 9th, and the score, Gateway 2, and your Washington Wild Things nothing. Pitching change to the Gateway Grizzlies as Kevin Jeffress comes on. Jeffress, no record on the season, 2 saves, a 7.20 ERA. Appearing in his 6th game of the season, has thrown in 5 innings of work, given up 4 runs, all earned on 5 hits, no walks, and 9 strikeouts for the right-hander. The final line for the starter, Corey Kimes. Kimes goes 8 innings, gives up no runs, no earned on 4 hits, 2 walks, and 6 strikeouts. So Wild Things looking to come back here in the bottom of the 9th. They'll have to try and do it with their 1-2-3 men, Jamal Austin, Ricky Rodriguez, and Brian Harr, facing off against Kevin Jeffress. Jamal Austin making his way to the plate. Austin today 1 for 3, grounded out in the 1st, single in the 4th, and struck out in the 6th. Wild Things need 2 to tie or 3 to win here in the bottom of the 9th, looking for a comeback victory in Game 3 of this 3-game series. Jeffress looking in, has his sign, he's set, here's the pitch. Austin takes the first pitch outside for a ball, 1 ball and no strikes. It's just like you're starting the game again. Austin going to try to get on base to lead things off. Rodriguez will try to follow. Jeffress has his sign, the 1-0. And Austin takes this one for a strike. Count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike. With his single in inning number 4, Austin extended his hitting streak to 10 straight games on the season. Jeffress has his sign, he's set. The 1-1. And up the middle, base hit for Jamal Austin. Leadoff man reaches here in the bottom of the 9th. Wild Things have some life, and that'll bring the tying run to the plate in Ricky Rodriguez. Rodriguez on the day is 1 for 2, walked in the 1st, popped out in the 4th, and doubled in inning number 7. Rodriguez facing Kevin Jeffress. The leadoff single for Jamal Austin has him at first base, and very good speed over there at first. However, you don't want to get caught stealing, as you are not the tying run. The tying run's at the plate. Jeffress setting the pitch. Rodriguez takes outside in the dirt. Nice block by Tyler Toole behind the plate, and the count goes to 1-0. Jeffress has struggled through his first 5 innings pitched with the Gateway Grizzlies. A 7.20 ERA, has given up 4 runs in those 5 innings of work. So the Wild Things trying to take advantage of that here in the 9th. Jeffress set in the 1-0. Rodriguez takes this one for a strike at the letters, 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count. Jamal Austin at first. The Wild Things have hit into 4 double plays today, so you got to think about that. They'll look to avoid that here in the 9th. Jeffress set. Here's the 1-1. Austin taking off for second, got a very good jump. It's a called strike, and Austin in there easily with a stolen base. Jamal Austin's 14th stolen base of the season, leads the team, and he's in there in scoring position with nobody out. Rodriguez, a 1 ball, 2 strike count on him. Bottom of the 9th, Gateway leads 2-0. Jeffress looking in, has his sign, checks second, and the 1-2 pitch. And Rodriguez to center field, and this ball will get down. Jamal Austin's going to be held at third, and Ricky Rodriguez in there with a single, and the ball gets by the second baseman, but nobody will move up as Tyler Toole backing him up. Runners are at first and third with nobody out after back-to-back singles by Rodriguez and Austin, and that brings up Brian Haar with nobody out. Runners at first and third. Haar represents the winning run, and he leads his team in home runs with 9. He could end it with 1 swing of the bat. However, just looking to get on base. Tying run stands at first, and Jamal Austin stands at third. Austin singled, Rodriguez singled, and manager Phil Warren out there to talk to his closer Kevin Jeffress. Now, we talked about it. Jeffress, 5 hits allowed in 5 innings of work, has given up 4 runs in those 5 innings of work. Has not walked a batter, struck out 9, but that very high 7.20 ERA. And now if you're the Wild Things, you have the tying run on base with nobody out. Jamal Austin stands at first. That would make it 2-1. And your leading home run and RBI guy at the plate. So a very good situation for your Wild Things. We'll see if Haar can come through. 2-0 Gateway leads here in the bottom of the 9th. However, runners are at first and third with nobody out for your Washington Wild Things. Gateway infield is back. Brian Haar at the plate. Wild Things do have 1 walk-off this year. Ricky Rodriguez hit the walk-off double. The pitch, outside ball 1 to Brian Haar. 1 ball and no strikes. 1-0 the count on the Wild Things second baseman. Wild Things trying to come back against Kevin Jeffress. The tying run stands at first. Jeffress looking in. Has his sign. He's set. And the 1-0. Haar checks his swing. Did he go around? No. And that's ball 2. Count goes to 2 balls and no strikes. Wild Things first real threat of the day. Runners at first and third and nobody out. Tying run. Standing at first base. Jamal Austin over at third. Jeffress set the 2-0. And that one's low, ball 3. A 3-0 count here to Brian Haar. And now Jeffress in danger of loading the bases with nobody out. Brian Haar at the plate. Jamal Austin at third. Ricky Rodriguez the runner at first. Jeffress is 3-0. Haar a ground ball to short. Davis to second for 1 on to first. And it is a double play. 6-4-3. A run does come in, however. And it's now 2-1 Gateway Grizzlies with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th. No RBI for Brian Haar, and that'll bring up Dave Popkins with nobody on and 2 men out. The 5th double play hit into by the Washington Wild Things, 3rd by Brian Haar. So now 2 outs, bottom of the 9th, 2-1 Gateway leads. Here's the pitch. Popkins fouls this one off, back to the screen, no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count. Dave Popkins at the plate has home run power, so he could still tie this game with 1 swing of the bat. 0-1, 2 outs against Kevin Jeffress. Jeffress looking for his 3rd save of the year, trying to save it for Corey Kynes. The loss would go to Matt Frauden if the Wild Things can't come back. Jeffress looking in after getting the double play. He has 2 outs, bottom of the 9th, 2-1 the lead for Gateway. Here's the pitch. Popkins takes high for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count on Dave Popkins. Led this team in home runs and RBIs a year ago. Had 20 home runs last season for the Wild Things. Jeffress has his sign, the 1-1. And Popkins takes this one on the inside corner for a strike, and the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2, 2 men out, bottom of the 9th. Gateway leads 2-1. Run coming in as Jamal Austin scored on the double play by Brian Haar. Jeffress has his sign. He's set. The 1-2. Inside for a ball. Count goes even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2 the count. Dave Popkins still represent the tying run with 2 men out. Jeffress looking in. Has his sign. He's set. And the 2-2. Popkins takes a called strike 3 on the inside corner, and that is the ball game. Popkins strikes out looking. Final score, Gateway 2 and your Washington Wild Things 1. Keep it tuned right here to the MSA Sports Network. We'll be right back with the Washington Wild Things postgame show. You've been listening to Washington Wild Things baseball here on the MSA Sports Network.
AAA members enjoy 24/7 roadside assistance, exclusive member-only discounts, expert travel assistance, free identity theft protection, and much more. With that AAA card in your wallet or purse, you have the peace of mind, safety, and security that only AAA membership can provide. Already a member? Don't forget to renew. Not a member? Join AAA today at any nearby office or online at AAA.com. AAA, we're always with you.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball. Final score in this one, the Gateway Grizzlies take game 3 from your Washington Wild Things, 2-1. The win goes to Corey Kimes. He improves to 4-2. The loss goes to Matt Fraud, and he falls to 2-4. The save goes to Kevin Jeffress, his 3rd save of the season. Scoring recap for you here. Initially, this game started out as a pitcher's duel. It was in the first inning. Cody Livesey singled. Seth Heck singled. Runners were at first and second with nobody out. Then Craig Massoni, a 5-4-3 double play. And Brandon Thomas flew out to end the inning in the first for your Wild Things. Jamal Austin grounded out. Ricky Rodriguez walked. And then Brian Haar hit into the first of 3 double plays hit into by him. A 4-6-3 double play in the first. And that would end the inning. Your first run in this ball game came in the top of the 3rd, a controversial play to start the top of the 3rd, as John Bunselmeyer hit a deep fly ball to left center field. Initially, the officials that the ball landed over the yellow home run line out in left center field, and it would have been Bunselmeyer's first home run of the year. However, manager Greg Langbang came out of the dugout to argue the call. The refs would convene, and it would be overturned. It would only be a double for Bunselmeyer. So he was on second with nobody out. Logan Davis would then sacrifice him to third base. So there was 1 out and a runner at third before Cody Livesey walked. Then Seth Heck, an RBI single that scored Bunselmeyer and gave Gateway a 1-0 lead. Craig Massoni would fly out to end the inning. Gateway got back on the board in the top of the 4th. Brandon Thomas started things off with a double. Then Tyler Toole flew out. Blake Brown hit an RBI single that scored Thomas and made the score 2-0 Gateway. Zach Levy and John Bunselmeyer would fly out to end that 4th inning. Then Matt Frauden would calm down his 1-2-3 inning in the 5th. Gave up 2 hits in the 6th. Before striking out Tyler Toole, getting Blake Brown to fly out, and getting Zach Levy to ground out. And in the 7th, gave up a leadoff single, a sac bunt, moved him over to second. Then a single by Cody Livesey had runners at first and third. And John Bunselmeyer was thrown out at the plate on that single by Livesey. And Seth Heck would ground out to end the inning. Final line for your starter, Matt Frauden. Went 7 innings of work, gave up 2 runs, both earned on 10 hits, 1 walk, and 1 strikeout on the evening. So not a bad start for Matt Frauden. Just ended up giving up too many hits, and it led to hurting him. The Wild Things would not get him much run support either. Then Brian O'Keefe came in out of the bullpen. He did very good for the Wild Things. Came in the 8th and got Craig Massoni to ground out, then struck out Brandon Thomas, got Tyler Toole singled, and then Blake Brown popped out to end the inning. And then in the 9th, had a leadoff single by Zach Levy, then John Bunselmeyer and Logan Davis back-to-back pop-outs before Cody Livesey would ground out to end the 9th. For O'Keefe, went 2 innings of work, gave up no runs, no earned on 2 hits, no walks, and 1 strikeout. But Corey Kimes, really the story of the day. 8 scoreless innings, giving up just 4 hits through those 8 innings of work. Dave Popkins, Jimmy Yezzo, Jamal Austin, and Ricky Rodriguez, the owner of those 4 hits. And also, the double play ball was his friend. He had 4 double plays hit into by the Wild Things in 8 innings of work. Brian Haar hit into 2 of them against him, and Logan Uxa also hit into a double play. as well as, Jimmy Yezzo. So 4 double plays on the day for the starting pitcher for Gateway, Corey Kimes, and he pitched fabulous. His final line, 8 innings of work, no runs, no earned on 4 hits, 2 walks, and 6 strikeouts in the win. The Wild Things showed some life in the 9th inning as Jamal Austin and Ricky Rodriguez back-to-back singles to start the inning. So there was runners at first and third with nobody out. And then the double play ball hurt the Wild Things once again. Brian Haar hit into a 6-4-3 double play that would get 2 outs. Jamal Austin would score, and that made the score 2-1 Gateway Grizzlies before Dave Popkins struck out looking on a ball that was called a strike on the inside corner, and that would end the game. So Kevin Jeffress, a scoreless inning of work, gave up 2 hits, no walks, and 1 strikeout. As we said, the double play ball really hurting your Washington Wild Things on the day, hitting to 5 double plays in the 9 innings, and it really eliminated any threats that they did have on the day. And your Washington Wild Things star of the day today has got to go to Brian O'Keefe. O'Keefe, 2 scoreless innings out of the bullpen, just giving up those 2 hits, and kept the deficit at 2-0. Had come in and hadn't had work in a while. His last time out was against Traverse City last Wednesday night. So he's had a long lapse between appearances. Comes out tonight and picks up right where he's left off. Had the 3rd lowest ERA for the Wild Things coming in to today. He's sitting at 2.18. And he gets your Wild Things player of the game. Matt Fraud, a bit of bad luck in the loss as he doesn't get any runs of support, just gives up 2 runs on the day on the 10 hits. The hits were what killed him, 10 hits and 7 innings of work. Gateway had a ton of chances and took advantage when they needed to, score just enough runs to win the ball game. As we said, the win goes to Corey Kimes. He improves to 4-2. The loss going to Matt Fraud, and he falls to 2-4. And the save goes to Kevin Jeffress. Jeffress' 3rd save of the 2016 season. The Wild Things fall to 21-20, and the Gateway Grizzlies improve to 21-21. Next game for your Washington Wild Things tomorrow night, a 7:05 first pitch as they welcome in the Florence Freedom for Game 1 of a 3-game series. Luke Wilkins takes the mound tomorrow for your Washington Wild Things. He will be opposed by Patrick McGrath for the Florence Freedoms. The Wild Things will look to get back on the winning track. They lose 2 out of 3 here against the Gateway Grizzlies, and they'll look to rebound against the Florence Freedom. Their home record falls now to 9-11 here at Consol Energy Park as they'll look to get back on the winning ways. But the final score here on a Thursday night, the Washington Wild Things drop this one. Gateway wins 2-1. Tune in tomorrow night, 7:05 p.m. First pitch for Game 1 of the series against Florence. It's also a fireworks night, so if you can't listen, get out here to Consol Energy Park and enjoy a nice fireworks show. Spend your 4th of July weekend with the Washington Wild Things at Consol Energy Park. Final score in this one, Gateway 2 and your Washington Wild Things 1. Have a good night, everybody.